on RaceSpotTV and iRacingLive. We hop back into the saddle as we get set for an 8th season of iRacing World Championship Series oval racing from the Daytona International Speedway. The long wait has come to a close. This is the 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing, and it starts next on RaceSpotTV. The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time NASCAR World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign, and as it has been for the 7 years prior, it is no longer going to be a straight shot to the championship. We are going to see the biggest change in this championship picture in series history, as for the first time ever, there will be a chase for the championship. We're going to go into the Homestead Miami Speedway at the end of the season with the 4 best oval sim racing drivers in the world absolutely tied in the championship. You just got to beat the other 3 guys out and you will become an official NASCAR champion. You're going to get yourself a NASCAR championship ring and, of course, $10,000. These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. You can catch it all season long, live coverage on iRacing.com/live. The road to $10,000 begins tonight from inside the Sunshine State and from the World Center of Racing at the Daytona International Speedway. We say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. Happy to be with you once again this season at RaceSpotTV and iRacingLive. Myself, Evan Pasoko, topside with Cam Walsh and Andy Kessler. Joining us this year in the booth, as always, our director, Hugo Louise, downstairs, pushing the buttons and bringing us to you this evening. We also wanted to say a hi to everybody joining us on our partners at Fans Choice TV and the Motor Racing Network. Cam, it is time to rock and roll once again. We are back in Daytona. We are set for the first 250 miles of the season, and everybody has been amped up for this thing really since we wrapped up last year at Homestead. There's a lot of excitement that we're finally going to be able to kind of let loose tonight.
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. Welcome to 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze. This is going to be definitely a good one, Evan. I have to say, I am extraordinarily exciting about this. This is going to be my 2nd season here in the Peak Series. Last season, it's going to have a lot to live up to. I mean, last season, the dramatic finish at Homestead, the great season that we had throughout. I have to say, we'll pick it up and see where everybody lands here at Daytona. It is going to be a good race. And if anything in the weeks prior to this and the races we've seen before, it's going to be interesting to say the least.
That last season championship was the closest we had seen in series history, where Ray Alfalla picked up his 3rd title by just 2 points over PJ Sturgis. And then a lot to talk about over the offseason, Andy, with the NASCAR iRacing Pro Series 2016-17 campaign, where Ryan Luza made quite the splash very easily, took that championship. He's going to be somebody else we're going to be talking about a lot this season.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Evan. Ryan Luza, what he did in the Pro Series was just absolutely phenomenal over this past winter and during the holidays. And, just the crop of drivers with what iRacing did, of how these guys could get their pro license and compete in this series this season. was something different as well too. So there's a lot of names in this list that we'll see over the course of tonight and over the course of the whole season that definitely will start to show their face and show what they can do out here.
We'll talk about what is to come on this 2017 campaign in a moment. First, we're happy to be joined by Brian Emrich, the Chief Marketing Officer for Peak and their parent company, Old World Industries. Brian, thanks for hanging out with us. I know that you guys are most likely excited to get this thing underway just as we are. This series has really grown existentially over the last 3 seasons, and I know that Peak has been a big part of that, and I'm sure that that puts a big smile on your guys' face.
Well, it absolutely does. I mean, we're excited to be part of it. We knew the growth was going to come, and we wanted to be part of that expansion, not only with drivers, but the fans as well, and it looks like it's just going to be another tremendous season.
Obviously, the first 3 seasons got you guys hooked, and we're happy to have you back for a 4th season under the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series banner. What was it about iRacing that attracted you guys in the first place and kind of what evidently keeps you guys coming back?
Well, it's crazy to think that I've done this for 3 years now and had this interview with you guys. It's exciting to kick it off. You know, the thing that gets us most excited is when we're out at the track. I mean, I'm watching this broadcast on my phone as I talk to you guys, and I feel like I just still at Daytona. I just got back a couple days ago, but while I'm at the track, I meet more and more drivers, more and more fans, more kids that are interacting with iRacing and love sim racing. And for me, that's a great point of entry, not only for, I think, younger fans that will become car folks, but also it's a great point of entry for people to discover our brand around something they're passionate about. And really what it comes down to is if we can be part of something that people love, it only helps them create that connection with our company.
Not only is the Peak logo on the series logo, we're going to see it on a bunch of cars tonight as well, but Peak is also very involved in motorsports in general. There are a lot of car products and such that don't take that route. Peak is almost everywhere when you look on a race car. What does that kind of speak to the identity of the brand?
Well, you know, one, I'm glad that people are noticing because it's a lot of work to do that, and it's a lot of work, I think, both internally to get everybody as excited about it as they are in our company. And with our customers and consumers, but you know, it's important for us to be, first and foremost, as a privately owned company with 300 employees. It's important for us to be passionate about the things that we're involved in, but it's also important for us to be involved in things that our consumers are passionate about. So, having our brand associated with all different levels of motorsports, whether it's John Force with NHRA Racing, or Don O'Neill and Clint Boyer Racing with our late model dirt program, or iRacing, or our official sponsorship with NASCAR. These are all things that just continue to add up so that people continue to see our brand and say, hey, if I've got to make a choice at the shelf, I really want to go with Peak. And that's what it comes down to. It's not only about making money, though. You know, we as a company and the people involved in our company love racing and love everything that it's about, even to the point where I've got my sim in my office with my Oculus Rift. Even though I'm horrible, I try to get better every day.
That's the reason why I'm up here and not driving either, so don't worry about that one. Brian, we got a race to get underway. I know that everybody is excited to kick this thing off, and we've got just about a minute from the grid, so we'll let you take off. Thank you for sticking around and chatting with us, and hopefully we'll be talking to you guys for many years to come.
We will, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
That is Brian Emrich, the Chief Marketing Officer for Peak and their parent company, Old World Industries. Guys, about 30 seconds away from the grid tonight from the Daytona International Speedway. 250 miles to get this thing kicked off. We're going to talk a lot as the night goes on about this brand new 2017 championship format and so many different things. But I think that a lot of guys, Cam, aren't really focused on too much of that now. They just want to get out there, get this car shifted into 4th gear, and get the season kicked off before they start worrying about that kind of stuff.
Well, and in some cases, I wouldn't be too surprised if some people are already just looking to maybe get their car home in one piece. We did see some carnage out there in the previous races that we've had at Daytona, but obviously this is the Peak Series. I have a feeling people are going to be having season-long ambitions here instead of just having fun in one of the official series races. So I wouldn't be too surprised, Evan, if we don't see some good racing out there, but most importantly, some safe racing out there.
You saw the graphic on screen just a moment ago. This is with our 8th season of competition. This is the 8th time we will be here at the Daytona International Speedway. We have never seen a repeat winner at Daytona. The winners from 2010 on through, Dale Earnhardt Jr. won the race here the first time, Ray Alfalla in 2011, Jeremy Allen in 2012, Adam Gilliland in 2013, Kenny Humpy 2014. Ray Alfalla actually the only driver to double up because he got it back in 2015 at Alan Bowes in 2016. We are set to drop the green flag. So with that, let's go trackside and take a look at tonight's RaceSpotTV starting grid for round number 1. Josh Berry going to put the Peak Blue Def Chevrolet on pole with a 46.617 to bring us to the green flag tonight. He will be joined on the front row by one of our NASCAR iRacing Pro Series transferees, Bobby Zelensky. Derek Bordeaux, Cody Bias going to start 3rd and 4th back on row 2, and Kyle Putz inside of the top 5.
And Ryan Michaeluza, of course, your winner at the iRacing Daytona 500 on Friday. And then, of course, Taylor Hurst starting 7th, Chris Shearburn in 8th, Brad Davies in 9th, and Will Cooley will be finishing out your top 10.
Rolling off 11th tonight will be the 24 of Alex Bergeron. The 34, Chris Overland, will start 12th. Inside of row number 7, that's going to be the 11 of Kenny Humpy. Timmy Hill will start 14th. 15th tonight on the grid, so 23 of Jimmy Mullis.
Inju Fayash III will start from 16th with David Rattler in 17th position. Joe Bonarello alongside at 18th position, back on row 10 and 19th and 20th, Brian Schoenberg and Philip Diaz.
In your 21st position, it's Corey Vincent. Byron Daly not that far behind. PJ Sturgios came home in the 2nd over in the last season's championship. Logan Clampett starting his outside. Then Nolan Scott rounding out your top 25.
Michael Conti in the 33 will start 26th. 27th to Michael Johnson. Blake Reynolds will start 28th. 29th Lee Mitchell Hunt. And Brian Blackford will start 30th.
The 31st, it's Dylan Duvall. 32nd, it's going to be Nick Ottinger. Matt Usa in 33rd. Marcus Richardson in 34th. And Ray Alfalla, your series champion, in 35th. Brandon Schmidt will be 36th. Jake Sturgis not that far behind. Alan Bowes, Adam Gilliland, Christian Chalnier, Tyler Hill, Casey Tucker, and Ryan Lowe. So they're just falling behind the pace car right now, and Andy, it is definitely going to be a fairly good start as long as they keep it nice and straight. Josh Berry is going to be taking the green, and we are going to be going right under yellow. We are right now looking at just going over some ideals and stuff. But Andy, this field is as well. Evan, you actually have some more information.
Yeah, caution flag going to come out to get this one underway as we try to get a couple of guys sorted out in the field to get this 2017 campaign underway. We obviously told you top to bottom that the qualifying order based on time, the best time of the night was a 46.617 for Josh Berry, who started on the number 1 position, and Tyler Hill all the way back through 41st position. Was the driver who got the slowest time to qualify with a 46.940. The back 2 were in just based on provisionals. As we've noted many a time, the way that this championship works is that there are 40 drivers who are guaranteed a spot on the grid every single week in and week out. And the way that that works is they are the top 30 from the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series from 2016, and then our top 10 finishers from the NASCAR iRacing Pro Series, assuming that everybody accepts their invitation. Then there are those 3 go or go home positions, which are available to the 10 drivers who finished 11th through 20th in the NASCAR iRacing Pro Series. Those drivers have to qualify in for those back 3 positions week in and week out. And just had an opportunity to talk with the iRacing stewards, and there was an unfortunate incident with the qualifying order where at least one of those drivers who was supposed to be guaranteed a position in the top 40, I believe the name was Justin Bolton, was not able to make the grid because of an issue with that. So what's going to happen here tonight is we're going to take the green flag. This race is going to get underway, but as of this moment, what's going to happen is that this race may not officially count for the championship points. Again, I'm just trying to get as much information as we can to the RaceSpotTV booth from the iRacing stewards. But from what we're being told, this race is going to go under green flag conditions. We are going to get the green flag on the 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, but this race will not count for points. If we get any additional information, we will let you know. But as of now, the race is going to go on, and we'll keep you updated as this thing continues, guys. The light's going to stay up on top of the pace car, so it's going to be about a 3 or 4 lap delayed green until we get this thing officially underway, get the green flag tonight.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Evan. It's something interesting to happen with the server. So, you know what? Listen, they're going to get the race underway. We'll have kind of a preseason, if you will, again here at Daytona. So, in other words, a way for these guys to get used to each other, especially the drivers in the field that are new to this, are the rookies coming into this season.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, the biggest change for 2017, and as we're, technically under the caution flag, we'll take an opportunity to chat about it a little bit, is this brand new format with a chase for the championship. Come the end of it, where races 1 through 12 on the campaign are the regular season. After those opening races, the top 8 drivers in points, they do not win and lock themselves in. It is top 8 on points. After this opening 12 races, we'll advance to the opening round of the chase. We'll go to Darlington, Chicago, and Dover. A win will lock you into round number 2, or the top 4 in points, and then it'll be a 4-driver winner-take-all in Homestead. What's going to happen is this is going to still be a 16-race points schedule. And at least, again, the information that we're being told right now for the iRacing stewards is that they could easily have just let the race go green, and it would be unfair, however, to the drivers who may have been not properly inserted onto the grid for this one. So what's going to happen is that this Daytona race is going to be inserted at some point down the line in the season, and the first technical points race is going to come in 1 week's time from Las Vegas. Again, that may change, but as of now, that is the information that we do have. So, there was a little bit of preseason thunder last week here on iRacingLive, and it sounds like we're going to get maybe a little bit more of that. Again, still an active situation. We'll try to keep you updated on what we are being told as it happens, but it is going to be about 250 laps. By the time we get this back under green, maybe 240 laps of some action here from Daytona to unofficially, per se, get this 2017 campaign underway. Josh Berry awaited to get this one underway from pole. Aside, we will be right back to the Daytona International Speedway in just a moment. You're watching RaceSpotTV's continuing coverage of the 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing, is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time NASCAR World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign, and as it has been for the 7 years prior, it is no longer going to be a straight shot to the championship. We are going to see the biggest change in this championship picture in series history, as for the first time ever, there will be a chase for the championship. We're going to go into the Homestead Miami Speedway at the end of the season with the 4 best oval sim racing drivers in the world absolutely tied in the championship. You just got to beat the other 3 guys out and you will become an official NASCAR champion. You're going to get yourself a NASCAR championship ring and, of course, $10,000. These are the iRacing Esport World Championships. Green flag in the air from Daytona as we are underway from the front of the field. Your pole sitter, Josh Berry, going to complete the first lap of green this time off for quarter number 4. 5 laps complete in the total race distance. We went back to green in a single file line, Cam, so we're really spread out as we head back off to turn number 1, just cracking 200 miles an hour for the first time. The top 3 cars in a breakaway by 1 second and change. It's Barry Zelensky Bordeaux.
Yeah, it is, and of course you've got just running right up front is that Josh Berry, number 22, and just looking through, you've got a couple of different packs here. This isn't obviously how we wanted to start this season, but you know what? Let's get the good preview show going on. They're going to throw the caution flag in, they're going to re-rack them. They had some issues getting that green flag started. That's why we did see, Andy, that separation, but they're just going to bring them all back together. Hopefully they're going to re-rack them and restack them. And we'll actually get a proper start going rather than having everybody split apart.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. A little bit of issue there on the restart, so kind of interesting with the single file, but they'll get it all straightened out under this caution flag, and we'll get set to get the rest of this underway for all these everybody out there watching. So Josh Berry, of course, a few easy laps led there at the beginning of this one, Evan.
Yeah, he'll take the lap sled. It's going to help him to the end of it as, get an extra, to this point, 7 lap sled. He'll take it definitely in hopes of just trying to get the most laps led for the night. And again, just kind of kick the rust off with a full car field and get this season unofficially kicked off. Josh Berry up at the front of the field. And I mean, despite the fact that we've only seen a couple of laps of green to this point, there has been quite a bit of movement throughout the field. You've got a couple of guys who have somehow managed to pick up a lot of spots. Logan Clampett has gone 24th to 8th. Timmy Hill has gone 14th to 9th, just behind them. Nick Ottinger 32nd to 11th. So while 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 have not moved, there are some changes going on at the back of the pack relatively early on in this race, as we still wait to officially get these guys doubled up for a restart.
Yeah, we'll get them started out. Actually, someone's going to take a peek into pit lane. It's going to be Timmy Hill. There's a couple of other cars, actually. They've run around enough caution laps, I think. They're going to figure out what the heck. Alex Bergeron, he's actually got a little bit of rear damage. Philip Diaz coming in. Will Cooley coming in. Dylan Duval, Michael Conti, David Rattler, Corey Vincent, as well as a couple of other cars. Nolan Scott, as Michael Conti actually completely missed his pit box, but Mitchell Hunt, Marcus Richardson, a couple of other cars. So the cars in the back of the field, well, they're going to get fueled up, and we'll see how that changes out the strategy here. It's not the start that we wanted, but you know what? We are going to get that start, and hopefully this time we can get a clean one.
Yeah, the issue on that last one there is obviously the caution came out to start the race. Because a couple of those guys, as we had noted, were gridded up in the wrong position. But then what happened is there were a couple of problems with the pace car where that caution flag was thrown at the start. Half the field was on one side of the start finish line, half the field was on the other side. So because of the way the automatic scoring tracks that in relation to the pace car, which was down on pit road, a couple of people got messed up in the back of the pack. So we went green flag racing there, as you saw, in a single file line. So this caution now is going to be able to re-rack everything. We'll get doubled up and we'll have about 90 laps to go here tonight from the Daytona International Speedway. 42 drivers are still on the lead lap. Only driver not on the lead lap at the moment is Jimmy Mullis, who was involved in contact, actually, on that restart way towards the back of the pack. The 23 got nicked by the 6 machine, I believe it was, of Brian Schoenberg, as they were 4 wide, and there was a big checkup. Again, an issue with guys trying to get in line. Mullis got some damage. He has dropped to the back of the pack, and obviously has now since gone down to the pit lane and gone behind the wall. His night is done. Other than that, we are going to have 42 cars for the ensuing restart.
Well, that we are, and just looking at whereabouts everybody is, we are hunting down behind that iRacing Ford Mustang pace car. The lights are still on as he's just coming out of going into corner number 2, so we've got at least another lap and a half of this right now. But for Josh Berry, it's a bit of an odd one, but you know what? It is going to be up to him to start the field this time, and I have a feeling people are going to be just a bit more patient. Hopefully we won't see anybody getting rowdy or hoping to try to make up some positions, and we can get a clean restart here to kick off our Daytona International Speedway run.
Let's talk about some track facts about the Daytona International Speedway, and this racetrack with 31 degrees of banking, 18 degrees alone in the tri-oval, although it doesn't get the classification of a turn itself. There are a measly 2 degrees of banking on the back straightaway. The track itself is 2.5 miles in length. Often when you're talking about Daytona, you really can't go all that much in depth about it, besides kind of relating it to Talladega. Talladega not on this calendar, so it's the plate track on this season. And again, the big storyline that, again, based on these very strange circumstances, is going to be a factor that wasn't in the notes, 20 minutes ago, is that, Daytona ends the NASCAR iRacing Pro Series campaign, and it has historically opened the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series campaign. Again, based on what we're being told, and again, if anything is to change, we'll let you know, but this race will be put in at some point down the season as a points race, as to make sure that, while it was a very few number of drivers affected by the issue in qualifying, that those drivers obviously don't have to, reap the disadvantages of that, because there is a lot riding on the line in this series. It's going to come into play later on in the season. We don't know where that's going to fall in relation to the chase, how late it may come in the regular season. So that's kind of, we just have to kind of sit on our hands and wait about. But Daytona is no doubt a very critical race.
Absolutely. And Andy, you know what? We'll go to you.
Well, no, I was just going to say it's absolutely one of the most critical. And when you're talking about the chase this season, ever for the first time, you're talking about no drops in the first 12 weeks. And you're talking the top eight guys. This isn't one of those win and you're in. You got to be the top 8 in points as well too. So a lot rides on it, and that's why, just because of those few drivers, they have to run this later on. But it'll be interesting if this is one of those races like 1 or 2 before the chase starts.
And lights going on the pace car, so everyone is in fact double file, so we're going to get a good start here as Josh Berry looks to lead us through. It's going to be interesting to see where it fits in, especially with this type of racing here at Daytona, as we're about to see. But Evan, as they go into 3 and 4, let's see if we can kick this thing off the right way for now, and see if we can get the season actually started.
Yes, sir. We're going to have 10 laps complete, so it is going to be essentially a 90-lap race tonight for the Daytona International Speedway, and you knock off those couple of laps from the scheduled distance into Daytona 250. We'll take the green flag with 225 miles to go. We still have 42 cars on track. We have plenty of racing to come tonight, and we hope that you enjoy this, what's going to be an unofficial kickoff to this campaign. As always, we're happy that you're with us on RaceSpotTV at iRacingLive. The iRacing.com Ford Mustang GT pace car going to knock off to the safety of pit road and putting the fields in the hands of Josh Berry. He'll take the American Ethanol green flag as we are underway for the 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing, off to turn 1 for the first time.
A much better start this time around. Everybody's sticking through. One car, Logan Clampett, ducking onto the inside. We did see how good of a start he had on that muffed restart, but as that top line fades, as it always does at the start of a double file run here at Daytona, everyone looks to be doing fairly good. A couple of cars intentionally cycling their way back, including Chris Overland, the 34 car.
Everybody trying to get up to speed. Again, you can see how much more tightly packed together these guys are when they got this thing finally underway. double file. The 13 to Bobby Zalenski leads on the outside of the racetrack. The 7 to Cody Bias, going to give him a big shove off of quarter number 4. Come up about 2 car lengths shy, as it is going to be Josh Berry who leads after lap number 11. Technically speaking, off to the corner for the first time, but the guys at the outside of the racetrack doing a pretty good job of keeping it close within 2 car lengths.
Yeah, they definitely are right there with the 13, Bobby Zalenski. He's done a great job since the start, and actually, you got to hold that all to Cody Bias in that 7 machine, able to stick on his back bumper. And what that's done with the side draft has allowed them to stay up there, at least within the top 3 right now. You got the 4 as well of Ryan Luza trying to hang with those guys on the outside, but you got to have strength in numbers, and that's what's going to get it done to get around that 22 Josh Berry up front.
15 all over the back of him is Derek Bordeaux, who started in 3rd, and he has yet to kind of give up that position. Outside is open if he wants to try to go up there. The 13 and the 7 are there, and a lot of the moves that we see to the outside of the racetrack comes from guys about 2nd, 3rd, or 4th in line on the bottom, seeing a swing of momentum coming high and jumping up, but at least for the moment, the 15 loyal to the back bumper of that 22 Chevrolet. The 37 in line hasn't had an opportunity, but Kyle Putz is right there. Scored in the number 5 position as they go down the back straightaway this time. Again, there is a significant number of drivers on the outside of the racetrack. I think it's about 11 cars deep as they come off of quarter number 4. And they're going to be about a car length and a half closer to the race lead this time by. In fact, they'll make it a race for it, 22, still barely.
Ford on the outside, Chevrolet on the inside as they go into corner number 2 for technically the 14th time, but really it's the 4th full-speed lap of running here as Josh Berry, he's been doing a fairly good job taking the bumps from Derek Bordeaux, and we see coming out of 2, Bobby Zalenski, he's got a fairly decent run in his Ford, but as that outside line seems to stagger a little bit, this is something that we have to bring up. We saw on the Tuesday run of this, the pre-race show at this point, that we did see some engines cutting loose, Evan, and when we did that, that was mostly people staying well in the draft and then keeping their bumpers right underneath the rear of the car in front, and we did see some engine issues. Now, it's colder today. It's 96 degrees Fahrenheit in the air, 96 on the track temperature, but, I wouldn't be too surprised if people keep tucked up like this. We don't start seeing some engine troubles.
Yeah, talking about the conditions, it's 96 degrees down trackside, but it is a hot and slick Daytona Beach day, and especially, for guys who have really been tucked up on somebody, the 15, again, somebody who I was just talking about, right on the back of Josh Berry, and that's why you need some movement. If you're the 13, you're in a fantastic position right now. Bobby Zalenski, obviously you'd like to be Josh Berry leading on the inside, but you've got a whole lot of cool air coming to the front of that race car on the outside of the racetrack, and as they run at the moment, things are very good. The 4 machine getting dive down to the bottom. That's Ryan Luza, your 2016-2017 NASCAR iRacing Pro Series champion, trying to work his way through the field. He abandons the outside as the outside starts to lose that strength of numbers that they had. The 7 also going to go down to the bottom. That was Cody Bias.
Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what happened. As soon as Luza went to the bottom side, it killed the momentum for the 13 and Bobby Zalenski. He's going to fall back down to 5th. He's got more help coming behind him, though. Here comes Ottinger in that number 10, and then he drops to the bottom, and so does the 3 now. He's all getting into pin. As Luza tries to go back up to the top side, he wants to lead the outside lane.
Kind of interesting how we went from 11 guys topside to, for a brief moment there, maybe 3 or 4. And then everybody jumps back up to the outside of the racetrack. The 4, the 13, the 6, and the 1 are the leading drivers on the outside of the racetrack. The inside now with an advantage by about 3 car lengths as we head down to Daytona Super Stretch. There goes the 15, though. Kind of waiting on when Derek Bordeaux would make that move. He jumps up from the inside lane to go to the top. Not enough momentum down the back to get clear. But the 22 doesn't have a lot of help. I think the 15 might get it this time, but 4, we'll see, as he needs the help of that 4, Ryan Luza, to get the job done. He will lead at the start-finish line, but maybe not get clear.
No, I don't think he will. Ryan Michael Luza, of course, he won the iRacing 500, the top split that we covered here on RaceSpot. Massive wiggle, speaking of Ryan Luza, massive wiggle from that car that is going to stall that top line. I was about to say the top line always seems to fade in 1 and 2 as Josh Berry, he seems to be keeping a very good end. They got a new partner behind him, Kyle Putz, the number 37 car, as that bottom line just continuously evolving as cars rotate outside to inside and inside to outside. But everyone seems to be fairly clean coming off of 3 and 4. A couple of cars pulling into the pit lane, though. That's fairly surprising. PJ Sturgios coming in, as well as a group of a couple others, and there's a big wreck coming into it.
Big slide, 3-4 cars are going to go out into the grass. They are off the racetrack, so no caution at the moment. Corey Vincent is one of them. Everybody was just coming in way too hot. I wouldn't be surprised if PJ Sturgis gets a speeding penalty for his entry. Contact, though, started with the 19 and Olin Scott. He tried to come down pit road, got into the back of the 39. He bounced back up on track, collected the 14, the 25, and the 24. No yellow, though. None of those cars ended up above that double yellow line.
Yeah, and a lot of damage from Michael Johnson in that number 25 machine. Heavy smoke coming out of the back of that machine there as he's on the apron in turns 1 and 2. Definitely down on power, so unfortunate right there for the 25.
A couple of guys who were involved in that ended up spinning down and inside of the pit road commitment cone, so they're going to have penalties to deal with. I think at least 2 of the drivers were on that side of the cone. 2 of the other ones just spun out into the front straightaway grass. They're going to be able to keep on going. We expect them down pit side the next time to get repairs. Not quite sure what the idea was, though, with guys coming down to the pit lane. Cam talked with a couple of the drivers earlier on in the night. They can make it, to kind of make the math easy. 40 laps on gas. A little bit more, a little bit less might be the strategy, as we see the 7 of Cody Bias make a play for the race lead at lap number 20. Can't get it at the stripe, but he might just be able to be clear in a big run down to turn number 1. He will be just short of clearing that 22, but the drivers basically can do this if it is to go green all the way on a 2-stop strategy. And coming down the pit road at about lap 18 or so would be quite the stretch to make it those 82 laps. Maybe that's what they were thinking, but I didn't think that was the collective strategy, and I was surprised to see those 2 guys try it out, rather the 6 or 7 guys that came down as the 2 drivers of the 7 and the 37 get clear on the outside, come down and take over the top spots.
Now, I had anticipated once I saw 1 or 2 cars sit down, maybe the teammates would come on down for INX, but ultimately that's not what happened, though. A full slew of cars, including the INX cars, did come down to go on a pit lane. It just didn't seem to work out, though. Now, of course, it happening well below the racing surface was able to keep it green here, which is not exactly helpful when you have incidents like that for those people. But for everybody else, though, it seems to be working out fairly well, especially that bottom line now that Cody Bias and Kyle Putz have both gone around Josh Berry on the outside that last time by, leaving Derek Bordeaux and Ryan Luza up top. You're only looking back now to your top 12 positions to have that 2 wide running, and then you've got a big group from about 14th back, led by Brad Davies, Chris Shearburn, Kristen Chalmier, and then Jake Sturgios and a couple of other guys. These guys are sorting themselves out, and then you've got a 3rd pack led by Michael Conti trying to draft up to him. So wouldn't be too surprised if this field doesn't start closing up once again.
Fantastic pack racing so far. The first maybe 12 or so drivers are right in this lead pack. There were 13 of them the last time by who were within 1 second of your race leader. And as you see on those wide shots, there's upwards of 20-25 drivers within striking distance of the lead pack. The guys who are kind of starting to string it out single file off of that lead pack, where it's 2x2 about 5 rows deep, aren't really wanting to get into that battle, but the competitiveness up front so far so good. The 37 just pushed Cody Bias to the race lead, and now he goes topside and gets a push on his own by the 15 of Derek Bordeaux to get his opportunity P1 as Kyle Putz goes to the point first time at lap 24.
Yeah, it was a bold move he made that last lap to go from the bottom to the top. Picked it up just in time. As you can see, Derek Bordeaux trying to stay strong on the high side. He's got 3 more cars behind him trying to help him out, trying to get that push, get him up to the front. He's got to be careful he gets that run. Then you're going to see guys like Cody Bias, maybe even possible Josh Berry, to jump back out to that high side to take advantage of that run. Only time will tell now, but the 37 Kyle Putz looking strong now at the lead.
Once again, you'll see that inside pull a little bit of an advantage, and then the outside, I'm sure, is going to make a charge in a couple of laps here. It's that kind of zigzag effect on the outside. Outside lane is there, falls back, and it'll be back in about a lap or two. Again, the draft model appears to be very good so far to this point in this race as they open up a 4-car advantage on the inside. Derek Bordeaux leads the outside charge. He is only now with the 4 of Ryan Luza, the 6 of Brian Schoenberg, the 9 of Taylor Hurst. They both made a move to the inside of the racetrack that time in the corner, so really the outside lane outnumbered this time through.
Yeah, that inside line definitely forming into shape. Couple of peekers, couple of takers, though. Nick Ottinger, he really wants to get out in there in his Toyota Camry. He's going to get stuck out in that outside line. He's now got to take that as Bobby Zelensky takes that inside line in his Ford. So right now it's Ford, Chevy, Toyota. So obviously all the manufacturers here in NASCAR, here in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series as well. Love to see that. As you've got the entire grouping is now once again together. There's one small pack running well in the back, but other than that, they're going to go 3 wide going into corner number 3. Josh Berry, Cody Bias, Nick Ottinger. They're going to have to sort that out fairly quickly, though, because once you get out of the exit of 4, tightens up real quick in that tri-oval.
Yeah, how about 3 wide, 2 rows deep? The 10 and the 15 are going to have problems getting clear of these guys because, well, the guys at the middle end of the racetrack are taking the shorter way around, and there's an equal number of cars, and the 15 kind of recognizing that drops down to that middle lane, and the 10's going to be all alone. There's no hole to drop into because the 21 of Byron Daly with a push from the 43 of Alan Bowes have just sucked right up to the back, and by goes that 10 machine. Nick Ottinger, who started 32nd, did a fantastic job of making his way through the field. He's going to lose quite a bit of that ground this time through. How about the 22 of Josh Berry, our pole sitter tonight from Daytona? He just made a charge for the race lead, came up just a little bit shy, as now he once again leads the outside.
Yeah, off of turn number 4, gets a great push. Now look at that top side, all nose to tail right now. You got the 7 right there. Cody Bias trying to push the 22 back up to the race lead. He'll edge him out just a bit into turn number 1, but not enough. They'll stall out just a bit. It's all about timing now off of these corners. Can they get to the back bumper to get that push they need down the straightaway? After turn number 2, here comes the push now. The 22, Josh Berry now pulls out in front. He'll clear the 37. Does he drop or does he stay up there?
To the inside and clear off to quarter number 3. It is going to be that number 22 Peak Blue Def Chevrolet in control once again. And looking like he has quite the sporty race car so far to this point in Josh Berry. This portion of tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Peak Antifreeze and Coolant, the official antifreeze of NASCAR, the proud sponsor of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. Once again, side by side, about 10 cars deep and 5 rows thick up at the front of the field. And again, early in these races at Daytona, very easy to kind of overthink what's happening here early. Absolutely, these guys are battling for laps led, but still got at least 2 trips down to the pit lane for the bulk of the drivers up here. And not to get too far ahead of ourselves, it's fantastic racing now. They're not racing for the win quite yet. These guys are testing the waters, seeing what they can get away with. And as we come to another close run at the start-finish line this time, that's going to put Cody Bias in front. Some guys thinking about 3 wide. Alan Bowes took a peek once again that time.
That he absolutely did. Right now you've got the 2 packs going from position 9 and then a gap to position 10 of about maybe 5-6 car lengths, maybe a little bit longer to Brian Schoenberg, who is, of course, outside or on the inside of Taylor Hurst as they're working their way through. I think a lot of people right now, there's trying to make the decision of where where a big one might occur, and they're trying to position their cars. We did see earlier on one of the cars fall way back. That was Michael Conti, as he had to sort himself out. He wanted no part of the front running here in the beginning sections of this 100-lap race as we tick off lap 31. But just looking at Josh Berry, well, his strategy, opposite of Michael Conti, he wants to lead from the front.
With this lead pack, really you can call it 26, 27 cars. Again, the top 12 or so are the guys who are 2x2x2 all the way through. But there is a big group of drivers 40 seconds back. That's the group that was actually able to successfully come down pit road and complete their stops. 31st through 37th have already pitted once, and if they can stretch it to get, 82 laps out of 2 tanks of fuel and really just try to split that in half to a 41 apiece, which should be doable, then these guys might have the alternate strategy to win this thing. That's Logan Clampett, PJ Sturgis, Casey Tucker, Matt Busa, Joe Letterello, Brandon Schmidt, and Philip Diaz in 31st through 37th. They are 40 seconds off the top spot. So the problem is the lead pack's catching them pretty shortly. Going a lap down would not be a part of their strategy, I would imagine.
No, that's definitely not going to be on the list of what things to do when you're at Daytona. You don't want to go down a lap, even though you're going the same speed or roughly close to that. But you definitely need a group of cars to keep somewhat of a speed going, and that's exactly what those guys have coming down the pits as early as they did. At least they got a group. Once these other guys start cycling off, which should be within the next 10 laps or so, then you'll start seeing those guys catch back up, and what they're hoping is they'll end up in the lead by the time all green flag pit stops are done.
For the guys up front who have not completed that bit of service, which represents about 2/3 of the field, we're not all that far away from having to come down pit road. We mentioned you can go 40 laps, so there's a multitude of different options you can take. You can go 40 laps, and at one point have a 20-lap run. You can split that, closing 60 laps at half, go 40, 30, 30. We did have a lot of cautions, as we noted, Cam, in the opening 10 laps of this race, just trying to get the grid sorted out, get everybody into the correct position as we cross the 1/3 marker this time by the start-finish line. So these guys might have the ability to go to maybe lap 44, 45. Not sure they'd really want to, but we are within 10 laps of that pit window.
Well, not only that, we have to remember that the first 10 laps were run under the yellow flag while we sorted out and got everything double filed. So they do have a little bit of fuel longer for that. I don't necessarily think that when that was going on, somebody was thinking, I'm sure somebody was, but I don't think anybody was popping the clutch and throwing the starter on and off as they were circling around those first 10 laps. So yeah, I would expect people to come in probably 43, 44, 45. And they'll get their full service to no surprise to us all, but they are starting to go through right now. Philip Diaz is going to be the first car to fully go one lap down to that NX number 39 car. As you can just see the difference of having a draft pack and not a draft pack, as your front cars there, Cody Bias and Kyle Putz, they're running 43.8, whereas that front-running pack for that second pack, that one led by Logan Clampett, was 44 flat, so that's 0.2 of a second every single lap, so it's only a matter of time before that main pack, your leaders right now, catch and pass that early pitting pack.
Yeah, that's the thing that I've been keeping an eye on, is obviously their strength in numbers. This lead pack is much larger than those guys who pitted early. That group of cars is only 7 cars deep, but they're holding their own. They're still 40 seconds behind, which turns out to be about 4 or 5 seconds in front of the lead pack, and they really don't appear to be losing much in that battle. Kyle Putz, who runs fourth in the lead pack, 203 miles an hour. That time into the corner. The driver who is third in line in that pack of those guys much further behind was Matt Busa, 203 miles an hour into the corner. So, surprisingly enough, those guys appear to be holding their own on speed compared to this lead pack.
Yeah, as long as they stay in a line, they don't get double filed, they'll be all right. They'll maintain ahead of these guys, especially with the green flag pit stops coming awfully quickly here. They'll be okay. And then the question is, how far ahead of these guys will they be once the pit stops have all cycled through? So, remind you again, they'll still have to pit one more time, but so will these drivers. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this all unfolds. But, hey, you know what? With what's going on tonight, this is good strategy for these guys to figure out that, hey, maybe when this race does come into the schedule, 4 points, maybe they got some idea on a strategy.
While all of this is going on, you wouldn't really be able to tell if you didn't look at the lap counter that this race is still waiting to approach for everybody, for the bulk of the group rather, its first trip down to the pit lane. We continue to battle for the race lead. Cody Bias just got it 2 laps ago, and we have a good challenge mounting this time on the outside once again by the 15 of Derek Bordeaux. So you're not going to be able to come down to pit road too wide. Some guys tried it in that earlier group as we got a snake 3 wide. Lap traffic on the inside of the racetrack, and a make things tight, and it's a tricky place to do this. 3 wide into the center of the corner. Everybody tries to get around the 20 of Marcus Richardson, who is the latest driver to fall off of the lead lap, and he might just end up blending himself into this lead pack as he sits on that inside lane of the racetrack, and those 2 lanes of traffic are forced to the middle and that outside line.
Yeah, and this is going to be just fairly interesting as time goes on. These cars are getting lighter. Every single bump is going to throw that car just a little bit more as these cars lighten their load on fuel, as well as have their tires start to wear on down. So it's going to be fairly straightforward watching these guys all interact with one another. You've got a couple of cars well back. I would believe we were talking about Marcus Richardson, that 36 car. He's gotten himself right into that group. No problems there. He wants to stay in that group. But for that front pack, I'm actually, I say front pack, it's really the back pack, I guess I should say, but they are in front of your leaders, soon to be laps down. Their lap times have actually come down, which is fairly surprising, seeing as they have less cars than what they had earlier. And I believe the car of Casey Tucker is carrying some front-end damage, so fairly surprising. Perhaps they figured out how they are going to draft these cars, and it looks like they are having a fairly decent time of it. They're equaling out lap times. They were actually that INEX pack was faster that last time by than the entire weight of the rest of the Peak Series drivers. So interesting to see what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to be a lap down at this point.
Yeah, and again, 4 seconds in front is not a lot of time at Daytona, so they are uncomfortably close, I would imagine. They can see those guys in the rearview mirror. Sounds like pit stops are coming this time by. Cody Bias, who was second at the start-finish on it, is going to drop to the inside. Here comes a handful of drivers. 3 wide onto the pit lane. Look at the 17 on the outside of that. Blake Reynolds trying to snake his way down. Derek Bordeaux is in. Luza, Duval, and, well, about 3-4 other guys.
Yeah, in the 43, I'm watching Alan Bowes came in real hot, slid through his box, had to go back, he had to go forward. 2 tires, 4 tires, he'll get them all done on this thing, but an untimely mistake for the 43. Sliding through his box like that, he's going to have trouble catching up to these guys as they exit pit road and to get it back up to speed.
Waiting to see how long the rest of the drivers are going to wait to come down pit road. The leader's going to cycle out of quarter 4 once again this time. Here come more of them. Race leader Brian Schoenberg is in. Taylor Hurst actually going to outdrive him onto the pit lane and pass him to the commitment cone. Byron Daly is in. Josh Berry, Mitchell Hunt, Nick Ottinger, the drivers in this time by.
Yeah, and we'll see who takes the bait next time by. Brian Blackford and Brad Davies, your current leaders, I guess I should say right now. It is Brian Blackford, that VRS car, as he's getting pushed along by Kyle Putz and Bobby Zelensky. I have a feeling this group is probably going to be coming in next time by as they go past the race course bus stop. They're going trained by Alan Bowes. That might actually be causing a little bit of trouble there. A couple of cars. I know Chris Scherberg's going to be coming in, and he's going to be right there. Alan Bowes, as they easily split, as we saw that earlier issue with that early incident, as the rest of the crew gets on nice and easy. So everyone getting onto pit lane much safer this time. I think at this point, everyone's nerves have calmed, everyone's emotions have played through, and now we're just racing, and that's exactly what we want to see.
Davies, Challoner, you've got Shearburn, Cooley onto the pit lane as well. Corey Vincent and a handful of other guys into pit road this time. And very interesting that we saw about 3-4 different groups of drivers come down to the pit lane. And more drivers are still to come down. Bobby Zelensky, who has assumed the number 3 spot on track. He says that he'll be coming down pit road this time, but at quarter number 4, he is in with that group of drivers. And they're going to go 3 wide on the pit road, 4 wide, real tight squeeze. And barely squeezing on the pit road was that one machine who almost got pinched into the fence, Ray Alfala. He's down, Zelensky's down, and Putz is down.
Wow, is all I got to say. We can't get 4 wide on the track, but we'll sure get it going on the pit road. Amazing race on pit road right there. Almost some contact between teammates, too, with Blackford and the one of Ray Alfala. But both those drivers down and away, and the rest of the field that came down that time, looks like they all clean stops 4 tires, and they're all heading back out on the racetrack. And now the fun part, Evan, taking a few laps to figure out who's where.
Yeah, because again, all those different groups, depending on how cleanly you got off and off of the pit lane, more drivers in. Tyler Hill down pit road. He is in with Timmy Hill and Adam Gilliland. You're going to come down pit road with those guys as the Aftermath cars come in together, and a big mistake on the entry for Adam Gilliland as he missed his box. He was in pit stall number 3, third from the end of the pit lane there, and overshot it just a little bit, so he's going to be able to get into the box this time, and it's going to take him a little bit more time to get the service than he is going to have to for his teammates. So things like that, a little bit of mistakes on pit road can separate you for the cars that you came down to the pit lane with, and because of that, you might lose that lead draft. Right now, our race leader scored as Timmy Hill because he was in control the last time by. I believe things are going to get handed over to Chris Overland the next time by in the 34 Ford. Overland, somebody who has not been pitting with this recent influx of drivers who came in basically when we thought it was going to happen around the lap 40 mark of the 34 Ford, started in 12th position, and I don't believe he's been on pit road yet today.
He's actually coming down right now, so just looking at my wide pan of the track map, everybody is now back together. Your leader is going to be the 38 car of Brad Davies, this time by Chris Shearburn. A great pit stop from him. He was right in the middle of that pack that pitted second, the second lap that we had open pit lane. He's now possibly looking to the inside of the 38, so great run from Chris Shearburn on his pit stop as just looking through some of the pit stop times, some of them far shorter than they should have been. Some people only going with 2 tires on my presumption. Brad Davies, Chris Shearburn, excuse me, with 11.2 and 10.6. But then you get position 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That is going to be Joe Letterillo. We got to get it out of the way early at some point. Brandon Schmidt, Ned Husa, PJ Sturgios, all of those guys, they only took 2 tires. Their pit stops were in the 7-second range, as they are going 3 wide, so my timing screen's just a little spooked, but either way, we are seeing multiple strategies here. 2 tires, some before.
And I think, talking with the drivers earlier tonight, the consensus was that I think most people wanted to come down and get 4 tires. We talked, when we were talking about the engine temps a little bit earlier on, about the track conditions. It's a relatively hot day at Daytona. Trying to keep those engine temps down is going to be something critical as the night continues to go on. So, 2 wide for third on the back. A big issue that time with Joe Letterillo. He lost a lot of speed into corner number 3, checked up the inside, a big accordion effect. Had a couple of guys getting together, and it opened up a big pocket of air between the 27 and the 42. The one thought about, I think, going to the inside. He will continue to charge on the outside of the racetrack, and your defending series champion, Ray Alfalla, looks to go P1.
Yeah, he's got the help, though, as well, as they try to make their way around some lap traffic as well off turn number 2. How about Brian Blackford on his back bumper right now? Teammates trying to get it done on the high side. The 33, though, will drop back. Michael Conti will drop back down to the bottom lane now. So strength in numbers not going to help the top lane right now. As more bobble from the 42. Looks like maybe a little bit of the apron there going into turn number 3. That's going to shuffle PJ Sturgis and the Logan clamping machine, that number 2, to the high lane. And now those 2 drivers going to fall backwards as well.
Not uncommon. Oh, and contact behind. Brandon Schmidt going to get turned into the tri-oval. He will slide to the inside, out into the grass. He will straighten that machine out, no caution, and we stay green. He got turned off of the front bumper of the 6 of Brian Schoenberg. Schoenberg also hung on to that car.
That was a very good maneuver from Schmidt to keep it out of the inside wall. That could have happened so very easily. It actually started, if you wind it back, just off the just about where pit entry is. He started, I think he perhaps clipped the apron or something, and Brian Schoenberg was just nipping him from behind. PJ Sturgios just on the outside of that, and for Schoenberg, that was a great job keeping it off, and Will Cooley and the car of Ryan Michaeluza was driving around him, so good control from everybody around you, and well, unlike what we saw last Friday at Daytona, Evan, obviously when you get into the peak antifreeze field, stuff like that just doesn't seem to happen. Everybody under control and maneuvering their cars exactly as you would expect.
And that kind of split these guys up just a little bit more. The point that it was going to make right when I caught that out of the corner of my eye was that there tends to be a little bit of a breakaway consistently up at the front of the field. The first couple of rows may single file out more off of these restarts, and you'll see two wide a little bit further back. But that kind of scared everybody in the middle of the pack, and everybody checked up, and now you've got a relatively strung out single file line. They're at the top at 8 or so. There is some side-by-side around that number 10 position, and it's not really an outside lane trying to get around the bottom as much as it is, the two machine is trying not to fall back. Logan Clampett, the driver on the inside of the racetrack back there in the 2. He's got the 15 of Derek Bordeaux and the 17 of Blake Reynolds on his right-hand side. So that's the only side-by-side at the moment in the lead pack, and it's about 1.3 seconds off of the point. These guys are very much a part of this lead pack, but I would recommend getting single file and getting caught up before you drop too far off.
Yeah, the more they run side by side, mentioned that as those guys ran some 40 seconds off of the lead about 10, 15 laps ago, was the fact they need to stay single file. So as long as this group behind stays double file like that, this little group of 6 that we have up front right now, the top 6, they might start breaking away here. As you see 3 of those drivers, though, in that second pack finally get clear of that outside lane. They have the opportunity now to get back to the front. But you got to remember, that 2, Logan Clampett, the 3 of PJ Sturgis, those guys were all in on pit road at lap 18, so it's not going to be too much longer. You're going to be seeing them hit pit road as well for the second and final time.
2 laps ago, we crossed the halfway point in tonight's Daytona 250. Let's take a look at our iRacing, the Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game with professionally sanctioned racing from NASCAR and more. That time by Brad Davies, your race leader, with Chris Shearberg running in the number 2 spot. Then you've got big movers, 3rd through 5th, Ray Alfalla, who started in 35th, Michael Conti, who started in 26th, and Brian Blackford, who started way back in 30th. Right now running 6th is Taylor Hirsch, Joe Lattarello. In the middle of side-by-side, a little bit further back, we're in 7th on a racetrack. Derek Bordeaux has led laps tonight. He's back at 8th spot. Blake Reynolds at 9th, and PJ Sturgis rounds out our top 10.
Logan Clampett, well, he's listed in 11th this time by, but he is right in the middle of that larger pack, so obviously everyone's changing positions. He's actually 3 wide going past the tri-oval in that number 3 car, but as everyone sorts themselves out, you've got Joe Lattarello there as, well, we were just talking about him. So just to see how fast, obviously, things are going at Daytona, you've got Logan Clampett. Josh Berry's now listed in 13th. He's, of course, your qualifier and who has run a lot of this race up front, now finding himself in the pack for the first time. Christian Chandler behind Bobby Zelensky, also there. Mitchell Hunt's in there. PJ Sturgis, as we said earlier, he's there in 17th. Ryan Michaeluzo's in 18th. Will Cooley 19th. And Ryan Lowe, well, he is not, as a fact, in that pack. He is completely on his lonesome.
We got to go back, way back to 21st spot to talk about Dylan Duvall. I haven't mentioned him much here tonight. Nick Ottinger, who was up towards the front before that green flag at pit stops, now sits 22nd. 23rd on the track, that's Byron Daly. Tyler Hill is now 25th. Kenny Humpy, 26th. 27th to Timmy Hill. 28th now will go to Adam Gillen and Marcus Richardson, 29th. While the 30th place machine, that's the 43 of Alan Bowes.
31st is Matt Busa, 32nd of Philip Diaz and Jake Sturgis in 33rd. That group is 10 seconds off at the top point. Andrew Fayach is 34th. Chris Overland is 35th, with David Rattler in 36th and Brandon Schmidt in 37th. Those are the final 4 drivers on the lead lap. 1 lap down in 38th position, and interestingly enough, in fact, in the lead draft with your leaders is Casey Tucker, who's that 1 spot down. The rest of the drivers in this race behind the fence are out of it. 39th is Nolan Scott. Corey Vincent is 40th. Michael J. Johnson, 41st. Alex Bergeron, 42nd. And Jimmy Mullis in 43rd. This has been your iRacing, the Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, you can visit iRacing.com and sign up today. Past the halfway point, now working lap number 56 of 100 on the night. As we continue into the second half of this race, this portion of tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Herculiner Truck Bedliners, the official bedliner of NASCAR.
And absolutely what a fine product, of course. Trucks running deep in my family, and we obviously, we have Herculiner truck linings, actually, and we love them, quite frankly, on our Ford pickup trucks. So Yeah, most certainly. And, of course, thank those guys for sticking along with us, as well as the entirety of the Peak Antifreeze family. Is Brad Davies right now, though, kind of surprised right now, as he's been managing to hold that lead this whole grouping after that first pit stop, that first green flag pit stop that we've had. Ray Alfalla sitting on the outside of him. I wouldn't be too surprised if he doesn't work his way to the front and the outside line this time by. But you just got to look at some of these guys and the stories that they have. I mean, Ray Alfalla started 35th. Brian Blackford started 30th. Well, now they're running the high side 1-2. And on the inside, you've got Brad Davies and Chris Sherburne, who started in the top 10. So really, it's fairly interesting how this race is broken wide open, especially after that pit, as they go right around Brandon Schmidt, that car that had issues earlier.
And now we kind of play that waiting game again. Cycling through green flag pit stops is something that we're going to be talking about a lot this season. Oftentimes overlooked in the strategy and the overall, what it takes to get a win here at a place like Daytona, simply because a lot of the work is in the draft. Not a lot of guys like to practice, get it on and off of pit road, and there's really no way to practice with 40 cars out there, being too wide, trying to force your way down pit road to make sure you pit with your teammates. Even in the preseason thunder that these guys had a week ago, that was really their only limited opportunity to practice with this many cars on track. If you're with your team, pitting with 4 cars and everybody being on the same page, not all that difficult. So we did see a lot of guys with problems trying to get down to the pit lane in that first cycle, some contact here and there, and a handful of drivers overshooting the box. So now that they've gotten a little bit of taste of that, kind of hit the reset button, wait until that second trip down to the pit lane where things are going to get interesting. But that time by, 59 laps complete, we are technically, Andy, inside of the fuel window to the end of this race. If you pit, you can make it to the end. Don't expect these guys to come down quite yet.
No, absolutely not. You're not going to see them for a few laps here. They're going to want to burn these things off as much as possible here. And you see Ray Alfalla, Brian Blackford teaming up, taking over the lead. How about the 9, Taylor Hurst, all by himself out there for the time being? Just no help at all for him. He's got a group of cars, though, coming high, wide, and handsome right now. How about the 22? Looking to get back up in the mix. Josh Berry, who had found himself about mid-pack here at the beginning of this run. As you see some of the drivers now heading down pit road. Those are some of the guys that hit pit road a little bit earlier. We already mentioned Logan Clampett and the other guys. Those drivers have already come down pit road for the second time and what would be the final time as the drivers make their way back into turn number 1. Traffic right there. Some contact. Looks like the 4 car. He's going to go maybe around. What a job hanging on to it, but more contact at turn 2.
Oh, and there it is with the 20 car coming by. Ryan Luza, big contact off of quarter number 2. He will spin to a stop. The race will stay under green flag conditions. That time off of the quarter. We'll take a second look at a RaceSpotTV replay. Trying to get 3 wide around some lap traffic. The 4 just got pinched high, and Cam, he tried for all it was worth to hang on to it. The 3 got into the back of him. He slid, and unfortunately, when that car snapped back up the hill, there was nowhere for Marcus Richardson to go. Those 2 drivers involved as we come back on.
Yeah, and Marcus Richardson, actually, I feel extraordinarily bad for him. He just had that entire field go by him there. He just had left the pits or something to that effect, and he got caught up in that. Very unfortunate for him. But for Ryan Luza, you got to give him an A+ for effort. He tried for all that he could. I feel like he would have had it, but PJ Sturgios just arrived on the scene. He was probably 20 mile an hour faster, and there's only so much you can do in the span of 20 feet when you're going almost 200 miles an hour. That he just ended up parking it right into the rear of that number 4 car, and that just spiraled from there. So really one of our first main incidents on the track. Of course, we had that pit lane incident early on, well, you have to say, I mean, that's unfortunate. Your iRacing Daytona 500 winner in the top split Friday night is not going to be able to finish in this one.
Yeah, and the defending winner of the NASCAR iRacing Pro Series as well. We talked talked a lot about what we were expecting out of him this season. Maybe he kind of lucks out in the fact that tonight not going to end up being a points race when it's all said and done, but that Racer Boost machine pretty torn up again. And as we noted earlier on, because of the issues in the qualifying tonight, that's going to make this race a non-points event. The numbers are a little bit mixed up, so if you're not quite recognizing what driver has what number on the side of the car, that would be the reason. Things will return to normal once we get our first points race underway, which at the moment is scheduled to be in 2 weeks' time from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So we'll try to let you know who is behind the wheel of what number. If you're ever confused as the night goes on, you can look topside at the RaceSpotTV ticker, and it'll have the names associated with the numbers as well with the live scoring. So we saw a couple of guys come down pit road right at that 40 lap to go mark when I said that the pit lane had opened up. But this is kind of that gray area that we talked about, where you can go 40 laps on fuel. You only need to go 100 on the night. So they took their 20 lapper, their short run, in the middle of the race. Some of these guys might run this thing out, Andy, to lap 80 and then make that short pit, and maybe because it's that late in the race, maybe even decide to, if not go with just 2 tires, go with no tires and only have to take on maybe half the amount of fuel, try to save some time. So this race being at this 100 lap distance really opens up a wide range of possibilities on the strategy and really gives these guys on top of the pit boxes, for these guys, an opportunity to work some magic in the first race.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And like I said, this is good practice for when this will count later in the season. So you got to take that time, that opportunity to try something different maybe for these guys. And the experience over this week, of course, has been Daytona all across the iRacing sim. A lot of emphasis has gone on those left side tires actually wearing out a lot more than the right side. So I've seen some guys try that left side tires and stuff over the course of the last week, and it's worked out for them. And I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these guys, especially in this front group, maybe to try to team up, take the 2-tire gamble, and try to get themselves away from this and see how far they can get ahead, especially with only, like you said, maybe less than 20 laps to go when they do finally make that stop.
Right now we run with 28 drivers on the lead lap at the moment. Safe to say 1st through 21st amongst the group of drivers who have yet to come down to the pit lane. And a lot has happened, Cam, in the last 60 minutes. But we're already nearly at lap 70 of this race. So this thing doesn't have a lot of time left. It's been flying by.
Yeah, just about 30 left to go, and that's when you got to start figuring out where people lie. I think some people might seriously be trying and considering making it to the end on this. I don't see that happening as Taylor Hurst and Michael Conti roll to the outside. They're going to try and force that outside line. Who can they get help? Perhaps Chris Sherburne? No, he was just running a little high. As he sorts himself back in, a couple of other cars, perhaps Josh Berry going to take it, and he wants to get back into it as he's nipping through there. He's going to go to the outside. Will Mitchell Hunt follow him? Nope, don't see it. So either way, we're starting to see that real pack action as they go 2 by 2 into corner number 1 for the 68th time now. We're seeing these groups sort of form up, and you got to ask yourself, is this the group? Is this the group of cars that are going to be racing for the win? If so, what a star-studded field. Obviously, with this being the Peak Antifreeze series, but you've got some of the biggest names in sim racing just in this small 10-person field, let alone the rest of the entire field. And this is obviously going to be a good one, but you never know what could happen. Perhaps a yellow as they're going 3 wide in the back. Perhaps something else could happen. We just don't know, and I think that's why we love Daytona.
Coming up to the field is your 2014 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion, Michael Conti, first driver to take home the title under that Peak banner. Just pushed Taylor Hurst to the race lead in this race at lap number 79. So we just crossing over that 2/3 distance marker tonight, awaiting these guys to come down pit road for the final time. And that Peak Chevrolet, all of a sudden, right there in the thick of things, as Cam had noted.
Yeah, right when it matters the most, coming down to the final stint of this race, especially after pit stops. It's going to come down to that. We saw plenty of drivers make mistakes all night long so far on pit road, sliding through their box. That's one of those things these guys are going to have to definitely pay attention to as they come down pit road. You do not want those penalties on that final money stop.
Yeah, the mistakes cannot happen. Even if you don't get a speeding penalty, you overshoot the box, you're not going to get those 3-4 seconds back. Then it's going to take that car up, get it back into the box, and be allowed to get service done on that machine. So those are things that just don't fly at iRacing's top oval level. Might be able to get away with it in some of the official stuff, the lower ranks, some private league stuff. In the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, you give these guys 4 seconds and they are going to eat all of that up from you. So there is quite a bit of pressure on these guys to not make a mistake. And because of that, I'm not sure if overcompensating is the right word to use, Cam, but guys will be very careful coming down to the pit lane. They will take it easy, coming to that commitment line to make sure that they don't overspeed it. And we've seen a couple of guys get down to speed quite safely, but get passed by 3-4 guys just coming out of turn 4 to the commitment cone, just because that they took it really easy, didn't want to make a mistake, but in turn, lost time by doing that.
Or alternatively, they're just going to go 4 wide into pit lane like we saw earlier. That is certainly a possibility. We did also see an incident from cars just not breaking down and drifting down and not getting. They caught the guys that were braking what we would call properly, where they didn't have to worry about overdoing it. But overall, it's just going to be fairly more straightforward. This isn't early on in the race. People have been doing this. They've already had a good clean pit stop since that incident, and I think we're going to see some pretty good pit stops whenever they do happen, but it's just that coordination. Somebody stuck on the outside. Will they try to dip across that bottom line and onto pit and immediately get on the binders? Well, I don't see that happening in something like the Peak Antifreeze Series, as I think people are just very good at telegraphing what they're going to do, and especially with guys that some of these guys have been racing each other every season for years at this point. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have a nice clean pit stop, and we'll see perhaps who takes 2, who takes 4.
Yeah, the drivers that I was talking with earlier noted that 4 tires would be what you would go for on your long run, but they did say that 2 tires is an option if you go for a short run at some point, and this would be the time to do it. We've already seen guys tonight go with that 2-tire call, and again, that kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier, is if you pit with 20 laps to go, you don't have to get it entirely full of fuel. So if you go with 2 tires, you're going to be down there for roughly that time. You might want to fill it up depending on if you like a car that's full of gas or not, just a personal preference kind of thing. But if you don't go with tires, you might be able to cut that fuel time in half, or at least only have to sit down there for maybe 2/3 of what it would take to get that tank full. That's a call that the guy on top of the pit box is making with the driver. They're communicating that at the moment. It might only save you 2-3 seconds tops. It doesn't sound like a lot, but we were just stressing how much it would be bad for you if you lost 3-4 seconds from a mistake on pit road. So it kind of self-explanatory how valuable making up that much time would be.
Yeah, but you're also talking about the fact that if you do it by yourself, you're going to get freight trained, and once you get back onto the racetrack as well, too. So whether they take 2 tires, whether they take no tires or 4 tires, they got to make sure that they're in communication, whether it's with teammates or other drivers that are out there, so that they have the help when they come back out on the racetrack. Otherwise, it's all for naught, and we know that here at the Restrictor Plate Racing. So, interesting thing to come, and we'll see when these guys decide to make that final pit stop. But we see that outside lane, Michael Conti kind of going back and forth, but now that he sees a couple drivers trying to make their move to the front on that outside, he moves back up to the outside. He wants a piece of this lead before the pit stop.
I saw it in a battle for third. Nobody wants to get in line behind that one. Ray Alfala now looks like the 40 might be considering it. Mitchell Hunt on the front of the 18 to Christian Challenger. 3 on the bottom, 3 on the outside as they battle for the race lead down the back straightaway. This time around, we will have 75 laps complete. We will take the 3/4 distance in tonight's Daytona 250, the unofficial season opener to the 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. This portion of tonight's broadcast, all the way through to the checkered flag, is brought to you by Blue Def, the official diesel exhaust fluid and DEF equipment of NASCAR. And you can see those Blue Def colors on our pole sitter of the 22 with Josh Berry.
Unfortunately, I use Blue Def because I don't own a tractor trailer, but if you do, I'm sure that would work out very well for you. But just looking through for Taylor Hurst, he has pretty much wheeled his way up to the front at this point. He's really just kept his way in the back, and he's just, I think he spent a very short stint somewhere in the middle fighting for the lead. But for the most part, though, he's been really just hiding back in that number 9 Chevrolet, and now he's worked his way up to the front. He's gotten ahead of Brian Blackford and Ray Alfala. I think he's going to try and keep it here. I think overall, whoever is leading this pack is also going to be very indicative of who's going to come into the pits. If you announce you're going into the pits, everyone knows, okay, am I going to follow that leader and stay with them or not? And we're going to see how they react to whenever they are going. So would you perhaps want to try to work your way to the front as these bottom 3 cars are about to get freight trained, perhaps? As that outside line looks fairly strong. No, don't think better of it. But it's important to see, is somebody going to run their way to the front so they can have clean access to the pit lane?
Maybe 4 laps until these guys are going to be down pit road. 77 laps now in the books tonight from Daytona International Speedway. It's a waiting game. And again, the guys that we've been looking at 1st through 10th have broken away as the lead pack in this. There is a secondary group of drivers on the lead lap and relatively close to the front of the field that are banking on getting a caution flag to getting back into this. They run 11th through 18th. That's Will Cooley, Alan Bowes, Ryan Lowe, Nick Ottinger, Dylan Duvall, Brian Schoenberg, Byron Daly, and Bobby Zelensky. I don't think 5 seconds, Andy, is a surmountable time with 22 laps to go. It would be quite the accomplishment, but I think with that lead draft being 10 cars thick, I just don't see that happening without the assistance of a yellow.
Yeah, with a yellow or maybe pit strategy also. So we'll see what these guys can do. They've done a great job at least maintaining somewhere around that 5-second gap here over the last 10 laps or so. That hasn't really changed that much. So they are at least staying at pace. So it's going to take a good call on pit road. Maybe getting out a lap earlier than these guys up front might help them out as well, too. So who knows? Only time will tell, but definitely in a lot better shape than those guys that we see further back outside the top 20 that find themselves over half a lap down.
Side by side with 2 pairs of tandems this time, coming off of quarter 4 as Taylor Hurst continues to navigate as your race leader. He's working with Brian Blackford on the outside. Challoner working with that 33 of Michael Conti. Conti has been there, but trying to get himself through to the top spot, and a tight call that time. A couple of guys coming off of pit road, Tyler Hill and Timmy Hill. At about 60 miles an hour less, we're on the racetrack just above that double yellow line, and I'm sure got the blood pumping of that 9 machine. They were able to get high, though, get around him.
I mean, I know they know that they were coming, and their spotter said, hey, they're coming, but still, when that massive pack overtakes you, some 10,000 horsepower coming out your passenger window, that is definitely an interesting thing. Ryan Lowe, he also in a probably a more dangerous spot in the middle of corner number 2 was coming in, as here comes that lead pack. Who's better on the brakes? It was almost Ray Alfell. I'm not quite sure if he managed to whoa up his pony enough, but that entire lead pack coming in here into pit lane. This is it. This is showtime.
Hurst, Blackford, Alfalla, Hunt, Barry, Putz, as well as Brad Davies and Chris Shearburn. I think that the 38 might have had an issue. He did. Overshooting the box that time was Brad Davies. Chris Shearburn over the line as well. Had to put it in reverse. Taylor Hurst goes with 2 tires and gas. He will lead that charge off of the pit lane. He is followed by Ray Alfalla and Brian Blackford.
Yeah, great job on the pit stop by those 3 drivers. I'll tell you what, that one came in awfully hot right there, but was definitely able enough to keep it down. But that's 2 times now we've seen Ray Alfalla way faster than those other guys, and he just did a fantastic job getting on pit road both times here tonight, and now finds himself in a pretty good position with teammate right behind him. And they also got the 9 of Taylor Hurst, who had a fantastic pit stop also. The 2 tires helped those drivers. The guys up front, though, Michael Conti, come down pit road. He's down and away. At the 18 of Christian Chalonier, he's done as well. Those drivers now off pit road, and they'll head back out on the racetrack, hoping to catch up with those guys like Ray Alfalla that have already done it.
Not only are there those drivers, as Michael Conti this time by comes out of the pit lane, and it looks like that 33 is all by himself as he tries to get back up to speed on the inside of the racetrack. Not sure if it was a miscommunication. He came down road with Christian Challoner. Challoner went with 2 tires, but Conti beat him out of the pit lane by a good margin, and those guys separated in the process. Not going to be beneficial for either of those parties as they try to keep things up. But again, not only are there the guys pitting now, but there are those select few drivers, as we've noted, that pitted much earlier in this race. As opposed to pitting at lap 40 and then 80, they pitted at lap 20 and then lap 60. Both groups of drivers are going to be good on fuel to the end of this race. Caution flag is out with 18 laps to go. Just after cycling through a green flag pit stop cycle, it's Adam Gilliland in the 16.
And what has happened here is coming off of corner number 4, I believe that he was going into pits. We're going to get a replay right now. Thank you, Hugo, in the broadcast booth. Of course, Adam Gill in the number 16 car, the Chevrolet. I think he dips the apron, and once he dipped that apron, he scrubbed off probably 3-4 mile an hour speed. Philip Diaz, he had nowhere to go. Kyle Putz, he had nowhere to go. And they really just collected each other. And then after that, Blake Reynolds comes in and absolutely nails a couple of these cars, as well as one other car, Cody Bias. He had nowhere to go as well. So very unfortunate there. And this is I hate to use old adages, but this changes everything.
Yeah, for everything that's happened tonight, and outside of the cautions that we used up for the opening 10 laps of this race to get this field sorted out, lined up double file to take the green flag at lap number 11, it has been caution-free. Not necessarily clean through to that point, but caution-free. The 16 involved in this one, the 39 is also involved, the 17, the 38, and I think the 5 of the drivers who are going to be involved in this one. And right after the cycle, the green flag pit stops meant that we didn't have everybody cycle through their pit road service. Obviously, guys coming down to the pit lane, the biggest difference between pitting at lap 60 and 80, Andy, is the guys who had quote-unquote short pitted were out there and building up momentum, and the objective right as that caution flag came out for the guys who had just pitted was get in a pack, get some speed built up. So somebody might have an advantage from already being up in a pack, and that's not really going to happen now. So this completely not only changes the complexion at the end of this race, but it's also going to completely shuffle up the running order, basically top to bottom, as we see a couple of drivers who have yet to make that stop be forced down pit road. Not what Fayash, Rattler, Overland, and those three wanted to see, because they're going to have to drop to the back as they come down.
Yeah, and the back is not 20th either. The back is way back there, because this is just going to absolutely throw a wrench in everything. We had 9 drivers that basically had an opportunity right before that pit stop that had this thing, going to be settled amongst themselves. And now you throw out a caution like this. Now you just bunch the field right back up, and you put all 27, 26 drivers, whatever it's going to be, left on the lead lap. You put all of them now with an opportunity to come out of here with the win.
Those guys are able to complete those stops without incident. They exit pit road, Fayash, Rattler, and Overland. They were 1, 2, 3. They're probably going to be about 25, 26, and 27 as they get back out onto the racetrack. And a race leader appears like it's going to be the 18 Christian Challenger after all of this.
Yeah, as we'll just see who comes into pits. Actually, Brian Blackford, he leans down on the apron going down the backstretch. I'm pretty confident that everyone they needed to come into the pits is going to have indeed used that opportunity. They just looking at who's come down pit lane, just about everybody is. Well, everyone's obviously come in twice. The first car that's pitted 3 times is Michael Conti, according to my timing and scoring. So I believe that Michael Conti is probably, if Christian Challenger, Taylor Hurst, and Ray Alfala, well, they don't need to come in. So their stint lengths have only been 3 or 4 laps. So either way, I mean, it looks, at least to me, everybody is going to be good on fuel. Everyone's going to have new tires. And really, that's going to at least tell me is, well, there's one car that's going to try to prove me wrong. It's PJ Sturgis. He's got to fix that damaged number 3 car. It's just going to show to me that we are going to get set for an absolutely blitz of a show. Brandon Schmidt comes down. Kenny Humpy comes down. Kenny Humpy having a very quiet day here at Daytona. Jimmy Mullis, who was damaged earlier, and then Casey Tucker. So, I mean, re-rack them and restack them, boys. This one's going to be a good ending here.
Lights still on top of the pace car, so we will not get the green flag quite yet as we work lap number 86 of 100. If the lights are to go off next time by, it'll be a restart with 13 laps to go, and as it always is in these plate races, doesn't matter what happens in the opening 3 quarters of it, and especially for tonight, for as crazy as this evening has ended up being, Andy, these races always seem to find a way to have a lot of late race restarts, and 13 laps to go at Daytona. You're going to have about 30 drivers on the lead lap. It's going to be pretty nuts.
It's going to be absolutely awesome. I mean, what a better way to finish a race like this than to bunch them all up and give everybody an opportunity to go 2 wide, 3 wide even, to try to come out of here with the best possible finish. Points on the line or not, these drivers aren't thinking that right now in the back of their mind. They're thinking, I'm in a race. It's closing down to the end of this thing. We're under 15 laps to go. I want to win this thing. Every time these guys get in these cars and they get out on the racetrack, they want to win the race. So you're giving about 25 of them an opportunity to get that done in the closing laps.
The way that they run at the moment, and again, this is assuming that everybody's going to be able to stay out. I don't expect anybody to have to come down for fuel. If there was any and all concern for the guys who pitted at around lap 60 with 40 laps to go, this caution flag is going to be able to ensure that they're able to make it to the end of this race. The benefit to that, and we were talking about that final second of green flag pit stops, guys taking just enough fuel to get to the end. Something that they don't have to account for is any possible overtime. This race is 100 laps long. It is 250 miles in length, no more, no less. Caution or not, at the end, this race ends at lap number 100. So this could be a case where we get maybe 2 or 3 very quick late restarts in this race, all depending on how it plays out. But remember, if a caution flag is to come out inside of the final 5 laps of this race would end under yellow. Race leader at that point to caution would be your winner. So don't expect these guys to hang back like they did in the Daytona 500 until about 2 or 3 laps to go, because it could end at 5 and 4 laps to go. You cannot sit around and wait. It's going to be an absolute dash to the end as we do get doubled up for the restart with the lights off.
What we have seen is that if you wait too long, if you make your pass or you attempt to make your pass on the last lap, it typically does not work here. So I wouldn't be surprised. 3-4 to go. We don't see people on the move. Christian Chalnier, the number 18 car, Taylor Hurst on the outside. We're going to get these guys going. That 18 car, though, everything is going to be balanced on his sole right foot. All of the cars that are here in a line going all the way back to 29th position. So we do have 27 cars on the lead lap, 27 people that could come away with this.
Here's how they double up inside of the top 10. On row number 1, going to be Christian Challenger and Taylor Hurst. Row number 2, 2 series champions, Ray Alfalla and Michael Conti. Back on row number 3, Brian Blackford and Kyle Putz. Row 4, Mitchell Hunt and Josh Berry. And row 5, Brian Schoenberg and Nick Ottinger. Still 27 drivers on the lead lap. The iRacing.com Ford Mustang GT pace car going to duck off to the safety of the pit lane. And the field is in the hands of the 18. American Ethanol green flag flies, 13 laps to go.
A big gap right there on the top side between Michael Conti and the 9 of Taylor Hurst. That's going to slow him down just a bit. The same for the bottom lane. This is going to allow those drivers, look at the 22 machine, and Barry just dropped to the inside. He had an opening, he took it. Top side, going to lose the momentum, but they're stacking up. That's what they need to get the momentum now off turn 2.
Trying to get him up the speed down the back straightaway, already 195, now 6 and 7 and 8, 200 miles an hour off to turn number 3 as they get him up the speed, and the outside lane did a good job. Taylor Hurst is still there, leading the outside charge. They'll be side by side with Brian Blackford, who is third off of corner number 4 as they look to build up some momentum and make a run for it.
They're starting to worry me. I'm seeing a lot of shifting in the back, about position 10 back. Quite a couple of cars are making lunges. I just saw Kyle Putz dive from the outside to the inside. I'm seeing that happen pretty much the entirety of the tri-oval as that outside line did not fade back. As we normally see here, Ray Alfalla powering his way to the front. His Ford Fusion now leading the peak antifreeze run here at Daytona. Will he dip to the inside? That is exactly what he's going to try to do. Oh, Christian Chalnier had to pull it up on the binders and drift his car back. So not only does Brian Blackford now have to deal with all the Air Force, everyone on that bottom line had to slow it on up. Rail fella, once again, he seems to be covering very hard as Josh Berry goes to the inside line. He'll come in 3 wide going into 1.
There's a lot of contact through the tri-oval. It spit that 22 at a line, and somehow they're going to make it work. 2 wide, back off to corners 1 and 2, but that cost a lot of speed for Josh Berry. He'll drop back, curious to see if anybody's going to jump in front of him. Get it between him and Challenger. Look at the 33 squeezing on the inside. Michael Conti going to make a charge on the inside. He will look low, but the door gets shut.
Door got shut awfully quick right there. How about Blackford in Ray Alfalla teaming up on the high side. Alfalla goes away from the bottom lane now, leaves the 18 of Christian Challenger now all by himself with a gap back to Michael Conti. Top side, 5 strong as they head back into turn number 1. The advantage definitely to them. Can Taylor Hurst clear? They do. The top 3 clear to the bottom.
All of them, the 1, the 26, and the 9. Alfalla, Blackford, and Hurst stood 1, 2, and 3, and all of a sudden, who's left on the outside of the racetrack? There's a lot of beating and banging, though, on that inside as we race inside of 10 laps to go from Daytona. And when you're pushing on somebody and somebody's pushing on you, these cars can get upset very quickly. There's a lot of contact out there. No more give us big contact at the back. The 31 of David Rattler slides at a 4. Another spectacular save.
Oh, and
car
Schoenberg's
spinning
around.
out, going into the pit lane. That is going to be the car, the number 6 of Brian Schoenberg. He's gone into the pits, though, so we are still going to stay green here. One car shut out in the middle of the pack there, going 3 wide. There's a middle train now powering through the outside and inside lane, led by Alan Bowes, the 43 in the back of that pack, pushing through. Will they have enough time to catch the 9 laps? Don't quite know. Michael Conti, though, that number 33, wiggling his way onto the outside of Brian Blackford. 3 full lanes now trying to push their way through. Who's gonna pick who?
It wasn't 3 lanes, but Michael Conti made it, and he forced his way up the middle. Not going to work out, though. The 9 too far off the bumper to push. And the inside going to be the place to be. Caution, flag flies. 8 laps to go. It looks like there's problems just behind your race leaders off of quarter number 4. Byron Daly, the number 21 Chevrolet, has gone around.
Yeah, problems for Byron Daly off of turn number 4. Not exactly what he wanted, but a whole lot of contact there going through the corner. They were 3 wide for a moment. Looks like the 05 and Logan Clampett there is involved in the 2 as well. Just 3 wide action there. Made some contact up into the wall. Byron Daly went around off of turn number 4. And just our second caution after lap number 10 here tonight. It comes out now with 8 to go.
Yeah, I think the 35 might have gotten onto the apron. They went 3 wide, and the 21 took a shot to the left rear, got a little bit loose. It snapped back up the hill on the overcorrection, and he came down. Got hit by the 31, the 30, the 34 was involved in that one, the 11, the 32, the 12. A handful of drivers involved in what was actually a relatively large accident that time off of corner number 4. Did happen inside of the top 15. It was just behind that lead pack that we were following off of quarter number 4, but it will slow us down inside of 10 laps to go, and we will bridge ourselves into that go or go home 5 lap to go marker under the yellow. So the next restart we can promise will be the last one on the night, and it will be for all of it.
Just doing some quick math, I think we're going to have 3 or 4 to go, Evan, when we get that pace car light shut off on that Ford Mustang. It's going to be Ray Alfalla leading. I don't think anybody's going to come into the pits. It's going to be a good one here at Daytona.
Inside of what's going to be 7 laps to go, we'll take this opportunity to step aside for a brief moment. We'll take a look at some of the new exciting content coming to iRacing. We will be right back to Daytona on the other side. You're watching RaceSpotTV's continuing coverage of the 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. Welcome back live to the Daytona International Speedway, where we are set to take 5 laps to go in the Daytona 250, the unofficial season opener for the 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. Happy that you're still with us at RaceSpotTV and iRacingLive, as well on our partners at FansChoice.tv and the Motor Racing Network. Evan Pasoko, Cam Walsh, Andy Kessler, topside with you, with Hugo Louise downstairs. Guys, this is going to be a winner-take-all restart inside of 5 laps to go. Means that if a caution flag is to come out, this race will end at that point. Whoever's in front at the moment of yellow is going to take home the checkered flag tonight. So, expect things to be that much more exciting than they were on that last run. We had about 5-6 laps of absolutely amazing racing, Cam, there, and just how hard they were going at each other, I think, kind of made it a matter of time until somebody went around, and unfortunately it did happen, but this is going to be one heck of a final restart.
Absolutely, and a pleasure to be able to bring this all to you. We got about 700 people right now tuned in, locked and loaded, watching this. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic finish, hopefully, as long as we can get everything cleanly started. And that's the most important part of it. If we can get to maybe corner number 3, corner number 4 on that first lap, I think we can sort each other out enough to where everything will be able to run its course. Ray Alfalla to the inside, though. Brian Blackford to the outside. That leads me to wonder, at this point, are they really teammates? I'm just not sure. Nick Ottinger behind, Michael Connie behind.
Looks like the lights on top of the pace car have gone out. So we work lap number 96. It'll be a restart with 4 laps to go. That's about the most amount of laps you can get in this race outside of 5 to go anywhere. We know that it is going to be the final time we get a restart. Doesn't matter if they wreck coming to the green, there will not be enough time to get this race back under green flag conditions. So, at a conventional race, and even though if we were to, go green for the final 50 laps of this race, it would remain true that a race could end at any point inside of the final 5 laps. I feel like if that happened, people would try to set something up, at least to some extent. But, you just got to go for it. I don't think you can lift, and I'm not sure how you kind of prep for this.
And no lift straight to the front. That's about all you can say, especially if you're outside that, 4th, 5th row and you're out there. You pretty much can't do it. You got to run. You got to maybe make something happen, force your way into a 3rd lane, go up to the high side. If you lift, if you drag the brake just a little bit, you're just going to put yourself deeper in the hole, and you're running out of laps to get it done. So it's that point in the race. You can't. You got to go for it.
Pace car going to duck down this time. We are set for the final restart tonight from Daytona. Winner take all. Ray Alfalla takes the green flag. 4 laps to go tonight from Daytona.
And a very good start at that. Everyone just getting through the gears right now. No surprise to me. Brian Blackford just held up a little bit, almost a stutter step, right behind Ray Alfalla. He's now to the bottom. That's exactly where he wants to be. Nick Ottinger, though, is going to have Michael Conti and Taylor Hurst on the outside helping him. Once they get through this lap, I think everything's going to be calm enough where as long as they get off of 4 and through the tri-oval, I imagine that we're going to have a green flag finish to this. As Ray Alfalla, well, it's no surprise he is up front, but what is a surprise, he started in 35th. An amazing run for that number 1 car.
The 10 trying to pinch down from the lead position on the outside lane of the racetrack. It'll be a P3 this time by for Ottinger. Caution flag is out behind them. This race is over. Ray Alfalla going to take 3 laps to go and the win as wrecking behind the race leaders is the 35 and Tyler.
Yeah, unfortunate right there at the end, but that's something those leaders, they don't mind seeing. Why not? They don't have to fight for it now. Just coast around a few more times and get the win, but unfortunate right there. Accident. It's going to take a couple more drivers out of this one here at the end, but we're going to have a winner, and it's unfortunate that we can't say a 3-time winner here for this race, Evan, because we got to do it all over again at some point down the schedule.
Yeah, Ray Alfalla, the only driver to have multiple wins at Daytona. It'll be unofficial, but it's the 3rd time he's won a NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series race here, and you took a second look at the accident well back at a pack. I don't think it's a very controversial statement, Cam, to say that it's disappointing to see, 2 guys well off of, they were 13th and 14th on track, so it wasn't, guys multiple laps down, but guys that were relatively not a part of the action up front get together for what seemed like a relatively easily avoidable accident.
Well, certainly. They were just coming out of 4, and Tyler Hill, I think this is actually the second caution in a row from that 35 car. I don't really know off the top of my head, but he just drifted a little bit up the track, ended up clipping Derek Bordeaux, who was having a very good run at the beginning of this race, but obviously everything fell apart later on as, well, you know what, cars will still be able to get across the line. It is not what we wanted to see, but like I said, as long as we got out of 4 and we made it to the start-finish line, I feel like we had a good shot. Just wasn't in the cards today here at Daytona.
With that, Ray Alfalla has to complete 2 more laps of caution around the Daytona International Speedway to officially get the unofficial win tonight from the Daytona International Speedway. The number 1 machine up front at the moment of the caution. Brian Blackford, Gottinger, Christian Chandler, Michael Conti, the top 5. Would have been an awesome finish if we could have got those 3 extra laps, and unfortunately, sometimes it's just not in the cards. I did check, Andy, tonight is not a full moon. You might have thought it was. I did check to clarify that it was not. Ray Alfalla, again, I'm sure. Yeah, well, he would have loved to gotten the points for a win here tonight. Unfortunately, he gets the bragging rights out of it all, and that is, you know, to kind of win this little bit of an impromptu, unofficial preseason Thunder opener tonight. As we noted, some issues in the qualified earlier tonight. Disallowed a couple of guys who should have had a reserve spot in the grid tonight. Did not allow them to get to the green flag tonight, and because of that, iRacing has decided that we're going to rerun the race out of fairness to those guys so they get the full opportunity to earn points towards that championship. So we'll take the white flag this time by. The one just needs to remain without incident for these about 1 1/4 more laps around here to get the checkers.
Yeah, as that Ford pace car will go through. And hey, I mean, obviously, the biggest prize that they have been racing for all day is to come and talk to us in the RaceSpotTV booth. Clearly, that is what everybody loves to do, at least from what I have told myself repeatedly. But yeah, we'll get them in here. We'll get them, you know, give them a chance to give a shout out to everybody. But other than that, yeah, just other than bragging rights, not much. Well, you know what? I can't say that. They've got good information. They've got a good run with everybody. I have to say it was a fairly clean race, minus on those 2 cautions at the very end and that run into pit road. I have to say, we saw a lot of very good racing, Evan. A lot of 2 wide, a lot of 3 wide racing, and hopefully that'll get us amped up for Vegas in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, for Ray Alfalla, again, can't take too much away from tonight. For those of you who tuned in with us last night, we're happy to have you with us for our NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series preview show. We talked with Ray Alfalla. One of the things that we noted when chatting with him is that there is going to be a new build coming very soon to the service, and Daytona probably going to be, again, based on the information that we were given earlier tonight, later down the line in the season would be under a different build. Sometimes that's big changes on the super speedway side of things. Sometimes it is not. While it is an absolutely fantastic opportunity, you know, to get out here with 43 cars and, you know, have everybody out in the draft and have some fun with it, they are definitely going to go back to the practice routines and try to make sure that they get a handle on that new build as we come towards what would be our official stop at Daytona. And again, not really sure at what point in this championship that's going to come at. But after a very interesting night, to say the least, the defending series champion is going to pick up the checkered flag. He will collect it alongside the yellow, the number 1 tonight of Ray Alfalla, your winner at our Daytona 250 to kick off this 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series campaign.
Yeah, it was great to see both of these drivers, teammates too, as well. Ryan Blackford coming home in second there as well too. So those 2 drivers obviously working very well together. A good tune-up and a good, you know, good way for these guys to work together here, coming all the way from the back of the field there too, as we noted earlier on, to get the job done. And they did it all together too, all the way up throughout the field, pit stops and all. So it was good to see, and a good run by a bunch of the other drivers as well. Nick Ottinger all the way from 32nd. A bunch of drivers. In fact, the top 5 all starting outside the top 25, coming home in the top 5 here tonight.
We'll have an opportunity in just a moment, hopefully, to talk with some of your top finishers and kind of try to make sense of what this means for the championship as we get set for what was scheduled to be round 2 and what may end up being the opening race of this championship in 2 weeks' time on March the 14th, right back here on RaceSpotTV at iRacingLive from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Interestingly enough, on the schedule, 2 new tracks this season, Pocono and as well Sonoma. So Las Vegas is a track that we went to last year, however, it is just in a little bit of a different place. On the calendar, and Ray Alfalla, I'm sure he would love the points, but he's happy because he is a race winner from Daytona, and the one machine doing some burnouts on the front stretch.
Very much well-deserved, worked his way through the entirety of the field, and, it shows that he's got speed here at the restrictor plate, but you know what? He's going to have to do it all again at some point in the future. Pocono, that's going to be another great time to send it out, as he's going to now start going backwards. Either he's run out of fuel, or he's going to park it on the line to get his flag.
He'll collect the checkered flag, and if, again, you take a close look at that number 1 machine, it doesn't say 2-time over the window net anymore. It says 3-time. Your 3-time champion kicks off 2017 in a hunt for a 4th one as your winner tonight from Daytona. We'll take a look top to bottom now at your RaceSpotTV full race results for this unofficial round number 1. Ray Alfalla is your victor, along with Brian Blackford and Nick Ottinger coming up inside at the top 3. Christian Challoner and Michael Conti, your top 5. All of those drivers started lower than 36th on the grid tonight, and hopefully we'll chat with them trackside in just a moment. The number 6 spot tonight belongs to Taylor Hurst, who started 7th. Mitchell Hunt also with a big move, up 22 positions to come home in 7th. Pole sitter Josh Berry ends up with an 8th place result. Dylan Duvall comes home in 9th, and Timmy Hale rounds out our top 10.
Chris Sherburne, a good run from him, very involved with the racing up in that front pack. Logan Clampett, another good run. He was almost at one point in fear of going a lap down, managed to battle it back to a 12th position. Alan Bowes, Ryan Lowe, Bobby Zelensky, who started outside row number 1. He's going to finish in 15th, only 5 seconds behind. Will Cooley, Joe Latarillo in the 17th, Casey Tucker in 18th, Brian Schoenberg in 19th, and David Rattler finishing out your top 20.
PJ Sturgis will come home in the 21st spot here tonight. 22nd goes to Andrew Fayesh. Kyle Putz will finish 23rd. 24th to Brandon Schmidt. Derek Bordeaux will finish 25th and the last car on the lead lap, while Jake Sturgis will finish 1 lap down at 26th. 27th tonight goes to Tyler Hill. Kenny Humpy will finish 6 laps down at 28th. 29th to Chris Overland, and Byron Daly will round out 30th.
Everybody else tonight behind the fence, except for maybe 31st position Brad Davies. He limped across the line 8 laps down, but out of this race, 32nd, Philip Diaz, Blake Reynolds, 33rd, Cody Bias, 34th, and Adam Gilliland in 35th position. 36th through 40th belonging to Matt Busa, Ryan Luza, Marcus Richardson, Jimmy Mullis, and Olin Scott. And then Corey Vincent, Michael J. Johnson, and Alex Bergeron, 41st, 42nd, and 43rd to round out the field tonight from Daytona. We'll take this opportunity to step aside. We'll go trackside with your top finishers in just a moment. You're watching our coverage of the 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing, back in just a moment from Daytona Beach. Welcome back to the Daytona International Speedway. After our unofficial season opener to the 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing, has come to a close, and while the checkered flag flew alongside the yellow tonight, it was an exciting closing 15 or so laps, and Ray Alfalla, your defending and three-time NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion, is the driver who goes to victory lane tonight. We will try to catch up with him. In fact, let's see if we can go trackside right now with the driver of the number one Unofficial winner tonight, Ray Alfalla. Ray, congratulations. I know that you would very much appreciate if there were some points to go along with this win tonight, but nonetheless, you parked that number one VRS machine in victory lane.
Thanks, Evan. Yeah, I'd really, rather this count for the season, but either way, it was still, a good showing, and we had the virtual racing school on board, and I'm sure they got a lot of exposure. We finished 1-2, Brian Blackford and I. So, thanks to virtual racing school to coming on board this season, and thanks to Turkey Hennion for being on the pit box, and Sal Frisetto for helping with the spotting. And yeah, I was bummed out, that the race wasn't going to count, but I thought everybody did a really good job, and the race, the race panned out usually how it usually does with long green flag runs, and I thought it was a pretty good show. So yeah, being able to finish 1-2 is a pretty big accomplishment, and it's just bittersweet because that it doesn't count for the championship.
Obviously, the big question mark now is when do we race this race, and it's going to be at some point later on in the season. One thing that when we chatted with you on our preview show last night, we noted was that the build's going to be different, and it might be different before we come back to this racetrack, depending on when this gets rescheduled and how that plays into the overall picture of things. So, you guys did a lot of prep for this, and obviously it worked out with that 1-2 finish for you guys. Obviously, winning, it ends up as kind of an opportunity lost for you guys. What can you take away from tonight, though?
Well, we can take that we have a good car. I know Chris Overland did a lot of work just the past couple days, and I mean even even kind of before the race, we were kind of running around, kind of deciding what to run. So it's a good problem when you have two or three different setups that we're trying to all debate on what to run. So yeah, we'll see when it gets scheduled. Hopefully, I'm hoping it's next Tuesday, so we'll discuss that internally and see if we can get it done. But if not, then we'll just run this race sometime in the middle of the season, and I'm hoping to match the result. But it being Daytona, it's unlikely. But it's what are you gonna do?
As it stands now, but again, we await word on when we're going to be back here. Las Vegas is going to be the next race on the calendar, kind of right into the 1.5 milers to make up the regular season here. I think it's a little bit too early to start thinking about the chase because there is no win in your in until we get to that chase. You just have to be in the top 8 in points. So obviously the goal for you guys is to just be consistent week in and week out. Las Vegas could very well be the season opener. How you feel there?
Well, we'll see how the car changes with the new build next week. So it's kind of on hold regarding that. Daytona being an oddball track, as in it's different from every other track. I'd love to say that we started the season off on the right path and everything, but it's kind of its own thing. And then we go to our bulk of the schedule starting at Vegas. So we'll see what happens there. I'm hoping, like I said, I'm hoping we do run Daytona for real before Vegas. But if not, we'll go in there guns blazing. And I can tell you, it never hurts to win a race, even if it's not official.
Race winner tonight, Ray Alfalla. Ray, before we let you take off, I know you mentioned VRS on the car this season. Who else makes it happen for you and the team?
Yeah, thanks Wendell Scott Foundation, StemSmix, Snow Cone, everybody on Slip Angle Motorsports. Shout out to Kyle Putz. He was stressing out over missing the race with a gust of wind because he has to qualify in, and he led laps up there. Bobby Zelensky also led laps, and again, thanks Chris for the late nights on the setup, and we'll see what happens at the next Daytona race.
Yeah, hey, Ray, we appreciate you sticking around and chatting with us after what was a interesting night, to say the least. Congratulations for what it's worth to you and the team, and hopefully we'll see you shortly, if not in 2 weeks' time.
Thanks. See you guys.
That is your defending series champion, Ray Alfalla, your winner tonight from Daytona. He mentioned his teammate Brian Blackford comes home with the number 2 position tonight. He is also trackside standing by with Cam.
And we are here alongside the number 26 car. The Ford Fusion ended up coming home in the 2nd position, Brian Blackford, as he gets off his full green helmet. Brian, well, you finished a cool 0.65 behind Ray Alfalla, but both you and Ray pretty much worked all day long on getting your guys up to the front. Take me through your day here at Daytona.
Yeah, it was pretty great. Happy with how things turned out there. I was kind of mired back in 30th at the start, and I was trying really hard to make the outside work, but it seemed like nobody really wanted to go up there. And finally got a couple guys up there and was able to make some ground. And especially right before that first pit stop, I got hooked up with my teammate Ray and Kyle after that pit stop, and then we pretty much had the lead from that point forward. We just had to pass a couple guys with older tires, but the setup was excellent. Got to thank Stephanie Lessentine. She's my crew chief. Brandon Wright was my spotter. So they just kept me up to date on what was going on and everything I needed to do to keep my car out front. And when I did get the opportunity to get the lead there by getting a push from Taylor, I definitely took it. So that was good. Obviously, all my teammates this year, Kyle, Bobby, Chris, Ray, they're all going to be really good. So, kind of worried about them. That's a lot of strong drivers right there. So our goal is to make the chase this season, if at all possible. And this would be a good start to the season, but I understand that technical difficulties happen. So, but overall, great race for us, and I was just super excited just to be able to get to race.
Yeah, and of course, it's never a bad thing when you get together a large group like this that can really go bumper to bumper and toe to toe. We saw over the coming weeks the races at Daytona and the official series. They seem to be laden with really massive incidents. You guys, on the other hand, were running 3 wide, going up the middle with long trains. You guys really made it work, especially once you guys got to the front. Hopefully, just going forward, I mean, the next race, the official, I guess I should say, start of the points championship will be at Vegas. You looking forward to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to each and every race. I don't dislike any of the tracks. I absolutely love racing all the variety of tracks and everything. So that won't be an issue. And with this series, you mentioned racing 3 and sometimes 4 wide. That's just you just have to expect that with this series. There's so many great drivers, and we're just pushing the limits so far beyond what you normally see in a typical iRacing race. It's really great to be able to race around these guys because they all know what they're doing, and I made my fair share of close moves tonight, so apologies to anyone if I scared anyone, trying to clear myself. But, that's what you got to do in the series, you got to be very aggressive in order to make any ground. And, we were aggressive tonight and showed by a 2nd place finish. Obviously, got to thank all my sponsors. VRS came on board this season. They are an amazing software company. They've created an amazing platform to be able to teach people how to sim race better, and I really got to thank Peter and all the guys over there that came on board the season for half the season, and Snowcone Productions, StemSimX, Wendell Scott Foundation, Ford Performance, Phoenix Society, and Peak and iRacing. Obviously got to give a shout out to my car owner Lisa Pineda. She's pushed me to be better, and it's really showed recently. So thanks to her, and shout out to baby Daniel.
All right, Brian, thank you so much for hopping into the RaceSpotTV booth with us. We wish you the very best going forward in the season. I have a feeling it's probably not going to be the first conversation that we have over the next season, but you know what? We wish you the very best of luck. We'll see you at Vegas.
Thanks, guys. Hope to talk to you after Vegas, too.
And so Brian Blackford, of course, the number 26 VRS Ford, coming home in your second position. And next, we're going to talk to Nick Ottinger, who came home in the third position. He is standing by with Andy Kessler.
Yeah, I'm down here on pit road now, getting ready to talk to the Gale Force Toyota driver of Nick Ottinger. Nick, kind of an interesting start to this one, obviously, to say the least, with what was going on. But you found yourself all the way in the back of the field to start this, but it seemed pretty quickly you were able to find a lane that really worked for you and able to muscle your way to the front rather quickly. And then you were there pretty much for the rest of the race.
I can tell you our reading machine was definitely good tonight. Even our qualifying car is sporty. Didn't get to show it in official qualifying time. We had to miss time with the one gust, and it just bit us. Had such a big headwind to slow us down coming off turn 2. It didn't help us. But our race was really good. I mean, we gained about 20-something spots, I think, the first 2 laps. Had some good spotting with me tonight with Justin Weaver. I kind of wish our race went official, but I mean, heck, to finish the Daytona race is more than enough for me and our Gale Force racing team.
Yeah, obviously we know how hard it is sometimes to just even finish these races, but then to do all that work, get a top 3, and then not to count, but it's good practice for you as we move on. Obviously, this race is going to get rescheduled later on in the season. With that said, though, and the amount of time and the preparation that comes in this, obviously a new build coming out next week is going to kind of change everything, even if we were to, say, run this race next Tuesday. With all that going into it, I mean, do you think, obviously with the tracks coming up a mile and a half in 2 weeks at Vegas, how much time and effort, with this new build coming up, how much pressure is going to be on you guys moving forward to get ready for Vegas?
Well, we're going to treat it like our season opener, obviously, just not at Daytona. It's still a good pressure. I mean, putting more pressure on myself this year to go out there and test more. Didn't do that much of last year, and it showed. I mean, we're consistent, finishing 6th in points, but we're basically like a 15th to 25th place car every week, and it was not fun. I mean, that's what happens when you don't get out there and test like a lot of these guys do, and I expect good things for Vegas this next race, I guess, for our season opener. I'm usually good there. We had some unfortunate issues there last year, tangling for the lead. But I'm hoping we can start on the right note. We started on the right note tonight, and hopefully we can carry this momentum to Vegas, even if it didn't count officially.
Yeah, it's always nice to get the top finishes, get that momentum, the confidence, whether the points count or not, and that definitely gives you a boost heading into a couple weeks here in the next race at Las Vegas. But before we let you go, Nick, we appreciate you sticking around, chatting with us. We'll give you this opportunity, sponsor shout-outs to everybody that gets it done behind the scenes.
Definitely got to thank the group of Gale Force Racing. They prepared some really good cars leading up to this race. Definitely qualifying. I spent a good chunk of time myself just working on qualifying. We had a really solid race trim, and it showed where we can muscle our way up here. Definitely got to thank Reem, Rude, Commodore's Garage, and I want to thank Mike Conniff for the last restart trying to help us. It just couldn't get to us, and we needed a little bit more help to at least disband the 2 teammates that were in front of us, and probably had a couple more laps, probably could have made it work.
Well, nonetheless, a third-place finish here tonight, Nick. Congratulations on that, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks.
I appreciate it.
So there you have a third-place finisher in that number 10. And I'm going to throw it down to Evan. He's caught up with our fourth-place finisher, Christian Challoner.
Yeah, the driver who just so happens to be the top finishing rookie into the series tonight, Christian Challoner, comes home in 4th, and we go trackside with the driver of the number 18. Christian, congratulations. I'm not sure we've had an opportunity to chat since the Pro Series, so congratulations on qualifying into this, and congratulations on a fantastic result. I know it's got to sting a little bit that you don't get 4th place points in your NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series debut, but you came into this race and went head-to-head with some of these big guys and came out with the top 5. I know that has to be a positive takeaway.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a shame that it's not for points, but that was just a ton of fun, and it was great to be up as high as we were, especially with we started like 40th. We had we had a really terrible headwind on our Q lap, and so we were so far back, and we knew our pit box was in a bad spot. I had to basically be on the brakes as soon as I was at the cone, so when I was coming in, I was just holding it all the way. But man, it was so cool to be able to get all the way to the top 5 lead laps. We just never expected to be able to get that far, but shame it wasn't for points. But it was just, yeah, that was a great race and a ton of fun.
What was the experience like? I know you guys started way back in 40th position, so you make up 36 spots. There was a couple of yellows early trying to figure things out, and then we had some accidents towards the middle portion of the race that didn't trigger caution flags, and then we had a couple of yellows late. How did you guys kind of work your way through the field while trying to stay out of trouble? The top 5 in this race all started way back, 26th on back, so whatever you guys did, everybody else seemed to be able to kind of work out as well.
Well, I mean, with that pit box that we had, we knew that if we were ever pitting as a pack, it was always going to be a struggle. So it was actually helping us that people were doing something different and they were coming down earlier. And we knew if the caution was coming out, we were in a pretty good spot. It was a little strange on that initial restart where everyone kind of checked up really bad, and we just kind of went through the middle. We got up to 20th or something like that, I think, and then it was really tough to move forward from that, but we picked up and we worked with people, and really as soon as we knew it wasn't for points, that was mainly what I was out there to do, was to run with all these guys that have been here for a long time and that they're really well respected, and was to just kind of make it so that they would want to work with me, they wouldn't just leave me out, and yeah, we honestly never expected to get all the way to the front. Like, that was just so cool.
To some extent, getting the 4th place finish tonight, I mean, you don't want your best finish to be at the beginning of the season, so you set the bar for yourself, and you kind of know that, you guys can do this, and you can get the results. And obviously, tonight wasn't an official points night, but, I mean, the race out there was intense, especially at the end of, final 15 or 10 laps or so. Everybody was really going at it. So does this kind of settle any nerves that you might have had that, you guys can be here and compete week in, week out as we look forward to what we presume will be Las Vegas in 2 weeks' time?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It makes a huge difference. Makes huge difference to me personally, because it kind of indicates that perhaps I should actually be here and that we really earned our way in and everything. And I think it vindicates stuff on our team side as well, that what we've been doing is working, and that we were on the right path, and that we'd gone the right way on the setup, and we're making the right calls, especially because we had some really tough races in pro where it felt like everything was going really great, and then all of a sudden it just went bad, and this really vindicated that, and it's given us a huge boost.
We'll let you take off, Christian. Before we do, the sponsors, the shout-outs. Who makes it happen for you and the guys at the team?
Oh, I got to give a huge shout-out to Hersingveld Engineering. They've come on board with us. They're gonna make a huge difference, especially to Marcus Richardson. They're helping us out with a load of gear for him. So a massive thanks to those guys. We gotta really give them a great shout-out, because they're doing more than we ever expected. I Analyze Racing as well for staying on again as a primary. They're really how me and Marcus got here, and they've helped us a bunch too. Night Fox Designs for the car, everyone at One Up Motorsports for building the setup, my crew chief Jason K. Miller for crewing the car, making the set, and Samuel Roush for the spot, and everyone else who's out there supporting us, especially all the guys I know who would have stayed up late in Europe to watch that. I'm glad I was able to do that, and I'm hoping it made it worthwhile.
Your 4th place finisher from Daytona, Christian Challoner. Christian, again, hey, thanks for sticking around and chatting with us. Again, congratulations. Best of luck. You still got 16 races to go, so hopefully we'll chat again soon.
Thanks, Evan.
I'll pass things down one final time. Michael Conti, a past series champion, is able to walk away with a P5 tonight, and I believe down with him is Cam.
Actually, Evan, it's me down here with Mike Conti and Michael. The top 5 started 26th on this one here tonight, but you were able to get up there, get up to the front of the field pretty quickly, like the rest of them after that crazy start. Talk us through your race.
Well, we had a crazy start, that's for sure. We didn't put a whole lot of time into this week just because it's kind of a crapshoot, Daytona. So we put something together pretty quickly, used last year's car, and we're just going out there for a decent finish. And when we got in there and there was non-chartered cars in and chartered people not in. I knew that there was an issue, and then when I was the 33 car, that was also a red flag. So knew it was going to be an interesting night, and that it was. We worked our way up there and got the Peak Auto car up to 5th toward the end, so that was good. It ran pretty well. So whenever they reschedule the race, Andy, and I'm sure you'll know this before I do, I think we've got a good car. I think we're going to get the Peak car back up front, and it should be fun. But yeah, like you said, it was definitely interesting tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah, it definitely was. You didn't have much help as far as teammates. Some of your guys having some issues early on, some of them later as well, too. How hard is it trying to make your way through this competitive field, not knowing that you don't have much help or much friends up towards the front when you're trying to go for these race wins?
It was definitely difficult. A lot of the other guys were in the back on their own strategy, and once I knew that the race wasn't going to be official or count for anything, I figured why not try to go up there and do something and test the car out and see what it's got. So we got up there, and Blackford and Ray worked together. They worked very well together as teammates, and then you had a couple other pairs up there. I think Barry and Mitchell, I think they worked together. They were committed to each other, so I kind of had to flounder around between the people who weren't really committed, but that was kind of difficult because you would get hooked up with somebody and then they would drop down to the bottom and leave you hanging out, and it just kind of kept going back and forth. So every time we try to go to the top and make a run, I feel like I would push somebody to the lead or they would push me, but eventually I was the only one up there. So it was definitely tough. A couple guys worked really well with us, Taylor and Christian, I believe it was, and Nick at the end. They were all big help, so appreciate that. But the car was good. The car was good on its own. It could make passes. It could do things. It held on really well in the long run. Didn't get as tight or loose or bad as the rest of the cars around me were. So I think we've got a good car. Again, I appreciate the series being around for us to showcase what we've got. I appreciate Peak coming back on board with all their brands, with Old World, and Brian Bolander and the other Brian. Both have been very good to me, so I'm glad to get them a top 5 and kick off the season unofficially well. And when we go to Vegas in 2 weeks' time, I think we'll have a good car there. And like I said, whenever we go back to Daytona, I'm sure we'll be good there too, based off tonight.
Yeah, well, it's usually fun to start the season off here at Daytona, but obviously unofficial. So now we get to start the season presumably in a couple weeks. You were just talking about Las Vegas. So obviously a new build coming out, and a lot of work for you guys coming up in the next couple weeks to get that car ready for Vegas.
Yeah, more than likely. And with that, with the builds, it does shake things up typically, but last year we didn't really have too many changes in the way of physics or suspension or things of that sort. So the setups pretty much remain the same. So we're still running cars that are pretty much from 2014 when I got the championship. We're still basing things off of that. So if the new build continues down that path, then it shouldn't be a big change. We should just have to kind of fine tune on things we've had in the past, and we should have a good starting point. But if they throw something at us, which I don't know, they haven't really communicated anything up to this point, but if they do make a change with tire or suspension, I'm looking forward to that, because obviously there's some guys out there right now that definitely have the upper hand. And they showed that all of last year, and I'm sure it's going to carry into this year. So any change that they bring would be welcomed, especially for smaller teams such as myself and the guys I've been working with. We like the changes, because if we hit on something, then it benefits us going forward. So we'll see what they've got. Hopefully the car drives well. It has recently, so I hope they continue with that. And hopefully whatever issues that were happening tonight, I don't really understand what happened, but I'm sure we'll get some clarification. Whatever happened tonight, hopefully they can fix, because we owe it to everybody, NASCAR, Peak, everybody, to put on a show that's sound and entertaining. And I think it was entertaining from what I saw, but as far as it not counting and things of that sort, it's not a good way to start. So hopefully they get us fixed up for Vegas. On my end, we'll bring another good car, and we'll have a good time again. I had a lot of fun tonight. Thank you guys for broadcasting. You guys are doing an awesome job, and we'll see you at Vegas.
Well, there you have it, Michael Conti, a 5th place finish unofficially here at the start of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Congratulations again, Michael, and we look forward to seeing you in Vegas.
All right, thank you.
So there you have it, Evan. Top 5, pretty good guys in that top 5. And you mentioned the rookie of Christian Challoner. It's a fantastic run when you can find yourself a rookie in this series. Find yourself up front battling with these veterans, with these guys, multiple-time champions. I mean, it's a pretty good showing for that rookie.
Yeah, not bad. Something that we talked about last night on the preview show was that these rookies are people who are not strangers to the sim. They are, well equipped with the abilities to get the job done. But at the end of the day, there's got to be some nerves coming into the first race. And I think that maybe the fact that the way tonight worked out being an unofficial race might have just helped out some of those guys. Michael Conti just noted, Cam, that once, the word came down that it was going to be an unofficial race, he went a little bit harder. So I think that kind of took the edge off of these guys. I think that those jitters are still going to be there in 2 weeks' time. But, I mean, it is unfortunate that we don't get points out of tonight, but I mean, I'll take 17 races over 16, so we still got 16 races to go, despite getting a good race in tonight.
Well, we absolutely got a very good show, and just showing how tight these guys can race. If you hadn't seen a peak antifreeze race before this, well, you've seen what these drivers can do now, and when we get to Vegas, it is going to be just that much more intense, and really, once the points start getting calculated, once that official ticker does start ticking down towards Homestead, I think we're going to see everybody kick it up to yet another gear, and that is should become as no surprise to us here in the booth, but I have a feeling for the new fans for the 2017 season and for the old guys who have been here with us for many a year, they are going to be ready for a very good show. Daytona was very good to watch the race. Wish obviously the season got off to the right foot, but you know what? You got to make it right, and I'm fully with that decision. So we'll just move it on to Vegas, and we'll have a good race there.
Yeah, and Andy, Vegas is a fun track to go to. It's a 1.5 miler. We get into the bulk of the schedule. Again, Daytona's going to be at some point. It could be before that. It could be, in 10 weeks' time. It could be in 4 months' time. We don't know. But the plan right now is to head to Las Vegas, and these guys, again, kind of, as Ray Alfalla noted, kind of have to wait around, see what happens with the changes in the build.
Yeah, and I think Michael Conti touched on that too as well. It just, for a while, all of last season, he said there wasn't much to the physics of the tire that got changed, so they didn't really have to do that much and didn't really, put a lot of pressure on these teams to really try to find, get these sets like where they need to be. So, a loop could be thrown to these guys. These builds are kind of in the dark until they come. So we'll see what happens with it. And like he said, maybe there's something drastic happens and these guys all got to get to work. It's going to be a busy couple weeks anyway for them to fine tune. Seeing that, Vegas will technically be the season opener. So a lot of work to do. Vegas is an awesome track. It's very fast, but it's bumpy. 1 and 2 is very bumpy. We'll see different lines, high lines, low lines. It's going to be a lot of fun. So can't wait for that one.
This would typically be the point where I say round number 1 falls into the rearview mirror. Not quite. We still have 16 races to go on this campaign. Nonetheless, we want to thank all of you for watching this presentation of RaceSpotTV, streaming live on iRacingLive, Facebook Live, Fans Choice TV, and the Motor Racing Network. For more information about the iRacing World Championship Series, you can visit wcs.iracing.com. On behalf of the entire team, for East Van Paolo on the cameras, Will Vincent, Hugo Louise, and the entire team behind the scenes at RaceSpotTV, and for the crew topside tonight, for Andy Kessler, Cam Walsh, and myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank you for joining us tonight and congratulate your winner, Ray Alfalla. We will see you in 2 weeks' time, unless otherwise noted, for the first points race on the 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. We'll see you then.